Welcome to the closing show. Fantastic job by Tony the Tiger and Miss V back from her little bit of a hiatus. We got a fantastic show ahead for you guys. It's going to be an interesting end to a holiday week. Of course, a little bit of weakness in the overall market as we take a quick look at the big board here. You do see the NASDAQ down almost 1.5%. The Dow has managed to hold up, so it's still in green. The S&P down 0.5% so far. We still have crude in the midst of a little bit of a comeback, up 1.6%. Bitcoin and Ethereum been holding around that -3 for the entire day. The real story has been more about what is moving in what direction, because you're going to see a few standout names on the big board, and oddly one that's right in the middle of the board here and up 5%. Nike been very, very strong all session long, despite the market weakness that we have seen. Overall, Nike leading the way. We had a rash of earnings from the banks. 4 major banks came out there. We had Goldman, we had Citigroup, we had Morgan Stanley, but it was Wells Fargo down a full 5% on the session. They had a bit of a miss. It was really their loan loss provisions. That's what dragged them to the downside. So you're seeing them lead the way. BAC also down 3%. They'll report next week. You have seen in IT and tech, CRM, Salesforce is down 2.5%, showing some weakness. Adobe down 2% as well. In the semiconductor land, it has not been a fantastic day for any of these names. You've got AMD down almost a full 3%, NVIDIA down almost 2.5%, Lam down 2.5%, AMAT and Intel both down 2%, Micron just under 2% into the downside. In the industrials, you've got strength in Caterpillar, up 4.5%. They've done pretty well, holding up in today's session. Still good look for transportation. It was Delta that led the way in earnings, although American Airlines and Southwest were stronger on the session. Delta today, after some upgrades, leading the way up that 3%. Southwest still up 1.5%. Other travel names, we've got Expedia strong for the second day in a row, up 2.6%. Las Vegas Sands, nice move up 2.5%. MGM as well. You've got the cruise lines, which are pretty strong, up 1.2%. However, the consumer services, you got Starbucks in there. Starbucks catching a downgrade today. Ms. V won't like that. Down 1.5%. They've been under pressure pretty much all session long. We want to flip back over to, well, we'll get to healthcare in a second. AbbVie recovering up about 3%, but flipping over to the NASDAQ, this has been the issue in the overall market. It's been the NASDAQ weakness and growth, which had made some bounce back yesterday, going the other direction today. DocuSign, Datadog, both down 4%. Zscaler looking pretty weak. Over in consumer discretionary, you're going to see some of the Chinese related names down 6.5%. JD down 2.5%. There was a note on Alibaba under some pressure, specifically Ant under some pressure from the regulators that came out this morning. So you will see some of those names falling down. We've got Lucid and Tesla both down. Now keep in mind, Tesla fell right about after when Elon Musk suggested or made his offer for Twitter. So Twitter was up in the moment, and Tesla came to the downside, still holding at about 2.5% down. Some strength over there in Dollar Tree, so good look for them, up 1%. Netflix has been under pressure pretty much all week. They're down 2.5%. Even Alphabet can't really do much today, pretty much in line with what you're seeing with the NASDAQ. Facebook also in the red on this session. Fastenal, interesting, Fast is down 4%. A big move for them after they reported yesterday. Honeywell, still green, still going to the upside there. One of the sectors that has shown at least a little bit of strength has been in healthcare. You will note that Regeneron, Biogen, Amgen, all showing signs of strength in today's trade. That's been about the only strength that you've been able to find in the NASDAQ, which has been absolutely terrible, going into another holiday shortened close. We have no idea how it's going to end up, but we'd love to not end on those lows of the day. Before we get too far into things, one of the things we always try to do is not just recap the day, but recap the trading opportunities that were out there for us. How can we do better? How can we learn from them? That's what this program is all about. So without further ado, we're going to talk about a trade Sean made earlier in the session, or potentially is still making. Let's go to Sean for the trade of the day.
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, look, trade of the day right now. It's going to feel like a little bit of a broken record here because it's AMD again. And this is the important thing. I'm going to keep going back to the well until something changes. I mean, first of all, let's go Raptors. Big game on, big series starting on Saturday. And look, this is what it is. Let's just first talk about the NASDAQ right here. So I put the NASDAQ up. This is, you can see when the volume starts picking up. The NASDAQ instantly today just started to fall down. You know, it's Thursday, heading into a long weekend. We have Good Friday tomorrow. The NASDAQ has not been well. You know, last week we were down that 3 or 4%. This week it looks like we're going to end again. Well, we'll see. Hopefully we can get back going. But anyways, the point of this trade is a downward move. We were already looking. Look at AMD over the last couple days. Absolutely collapsing from 126 back just at the beginning of the month, all the way down into where we are today at $95. So we were already looking short. And we found some levels. I put some lines here. It was basically just this 98 top line there. The other one's from this chart, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But we wanted to get short 98. The problem was this move just started happening way too fast. And off the open here on AMD, if we switch over to this side, you can see it was kind of trading. And then right when we opened up, which is right here, it just tanked right through 98. The problem is it ripped up to 99. So that was the first problem. So I wasn't really sure if AMD wanted to go down today. We should have stuck with our guns and been short originally on either that high near 99 or, again, that was a little bump up. That was in the pre-market just before we went on. But then when it started to come back down, we should have realized that in here was that 98 and hit that short. Unfortunately, it was a little too choppy. We got ourselves into some other positions. But then we go back to AMD, and you can see we'd use this pre-market bottom here. And this is actually since after 4 o'clock. The pre-market bottom is that 98. But right into here yesterday at the close, we started bouncing around this 97.50 area. As soon as we took that, because honestly, we missed the 98. So we're like, okay, let's use 98 then as resistance, right? And so we hit that short all the way down, and then it just completely collapses, whereby we start taking out 20, 40, 60, 80. So we have 80% out, and look at this print, 96. So we're automatically, it's just 10 o'clock. It's come all the way down. In about like 10 minutes, we're in the money about $2 on this trade. So it's an absolute monster to the downside. We did take first spot out 97, then we take some 96.80s, then 96.40, then 96, and then we let it settle down. Now, right now, it looks like Neil mentioned that we might be out of this trade. Not out yet. We're going to get out if it breaks 95.20 right up here. But then we just started doing the same thing over and over again. As the NASDAQ started to come in, right? So the NASDAQ's coming in, and you can see we're still going to the downside. Right now, we've even broken trend back up to the upside and took down that 14,000. But the thing about AMD is I just keep shorting any of these pops, and it's been working. Right now, we're in pure scalp mode. All of these pops into 95.50, into 95.40, out, all the way down. We have some good bids here, 94.60. But I turned over to Arun, and I was like, I got to get the scalping hat on now because I want AMD short, but the market is breaking higher. So what I decided to do was be very specific. All of these shorts is 95, 95. So when it comes back down, we're not getting out 95 flat. We're trying to get out 80s, 60s, 70s, trying to make that 20, 30 cents. Even a dime would be fine on this trade. But we like the AMD short, and we're just like sitting in these positions, hoping for a downward move. If the NASDAQ turns, we know we have AMD, and we think it's going to be a good trade. So let's hold on to some more of this short. And again, I'm not out until we completely break trend. I want to go into an area that we haven't been yet, right? So over the last hour, we keep coming up to this 95.10. I'm going to use that 95.20 as my area of resistance. If we break that, we're out. Otherwise, let's hold this AMD trade. The trend is still to the downside, despite the NASDAQ trying to make a move back up. So I like this AMD trade. We're going to keep going short. We'll probably be short on Monday again until something changes. What I'm looking for is like an upgrade or something from the company coming out, a deal, something like that that's going to change the trajectory of AMD. Right now, all the semis getting hit. Micron, NVIDIA, like you can just go on and on. Global Foundries we saw today was to the downside. But AMD, bias short and stay with it until you're wrong.
There you go. And maybe that catalyst will be interest by Elon Musk. He seems to like it about everything right now. I don't think he'd actually get interested in AMD, but hey, it absolutely couldn't hurt. And the top story today on our free watch list and on everybody's mind was, of course, Elon Musk and Twitter and his wanting to take them private. And you can find stories like this or catalysts like this every single day on our free watch list, watchlist.tradertv.live. Scan the QR code and get this every free resource every single day. So speaking of Elon Musk, he wants to buy at $54.20 because obviously he wants to do that. That's got to be the price. But the key thing was Elon stating about Twitter that take it or leave it. This will be my best offer. He doesn't believe he can work with the board. He was also at a TED Talk as well, being questioned on a TED Talk, and essentially, trying to outline some very strong things that he feels about Twitter, why it needs to go private going forward, free speech, and improving the platform. That, hey, might be at odds with what some people that work at Twitter might believe in. The latest thing that actually hit the wire 10 minutes before we came on here was that Twitter weighs a poison pill to prevent Elon Musk from increasing his stake significantly. This has turned into, well, I mean, not turned into, like this essentially is a hostile takeover situation. You've got Elon Musk, who was offered a board seat, pulled it back so that they didn't have the restriction on how many shares he could take. Now they're talking poison pill. Twitter's not going away. It's dead flat on the session, but that's a good $5 down from where we were this pre-market when this news was announced. So what are we doing with Twitter here? Because this is not going anywhere.
Like you said, Twitter, this is not going away, and it won't. This is going to be something that everyone's going to have to watch out for. Is that $54.20 going to be the price, or is there going to be changes? What happens in the event they walk away? Could there be any new suitors that come in and decide to pay up higher than that, or is anyone willing to pay up more than that? Or there's a lot that comes that allows you to now work with Twitter on an intraday basis. Like I said before, am I a fan of trading it with headline risk to the long side? No. But if you're going to tell me that we can get to a 54 or close to 54 with the downside headline risk, of course, why not? Take a shot on the short side and see if we got any sort of downside potential. Of course, the flip side is, hey, what happens if it slowly works its way down as we're waiting for more and more news down towards 40 or down towards 30, mid-30s? Because that's essentially where we came from, right? Now, that opens the door for upside potential. So it all depends how and where we're trading at. If we're trading high in the 50s or in the mid-50s, it's going to be a problem. If we're trading in the low 40s to high 30s, there's potential for the upside. So I'm gauging it. I'll keep an eye on it. But again, Twitter not going to be gone, even though it's quiet today, 0 point flat, up 6 cents on the day. The story is not over, and this will continue out. This is going to be a great intraday candidate if you're a scalper and you get in and out fairly quick.
Yeah, we started the day here in the pre-market just playing around with it, not much, pretty flat on the trade here. We highlighted this high, that 49.50. We never really got back to there. That has been the high of the day. None of these little wicks and none of these matter. So 49.50 has been the high of the day. That turned out to have been a fantastic short, obviously, but that didn't happen. And then we just started, we switched it up once we broke the low of the day. These are just a bunch of longs. We were basically flat, slightly down on Twitter, and then we started to go short. And once it broke down here through this low of 48, then that's when it really opened up. One short, two shorts, back down in, and then some of the outs are 46.50. So that's like, again, I mean, this first short's not till 47.80, then that one's a break of 47.60. I don't really know why I took that short. Oh, that's a 47.50 short, and then all the way down in. So we're taking about $1 or so on the average position. Then we're getting back in here, or getting the more out there at 46.50, again, right on the outside. And then we tried a couple shorts. This is when we heard that Saudi Prince said no. Saudi Prince Alaouid said no to the Twitter, his offer. And I was like, okay, then that's enough. That's enough to be taking that down. So we get short there at 45.20. Then we get back in again on the average at 45.75, and we're able to. Let me zoom in now so it looks a little bit better. Whoops, we don't need to be drawing all these lines there. But there's the short again, and there's the flat. That's literally a flat trade. Then it just started to go to the upside, and this is where we're like, okay, let's take a 46 long because it starts to break above, and this is where we really start to cash out here. 46 long, I have no idea what started to change there. Neil mentioned TED Talk, so on and so forth, but we take that 46 break, out in the 30s right there. It doesn't look like it wants to go. And then boom, does it ever go upside. And that's the last of our trades right there against VWAP, out 46.80, out 46.90. So some nice trading done here on Twitter. Now we just leave it alone and see if it takes down the low of the day. Look, I'm excited for this, for anybody that's a Twitter shareholder. It's nice to get Twitter back in the news and get them talking about again. I mean, without Elon Musk, honestly, the stock was left for dead. It would still be down here, 32, 34, and we'd be talking about breaking some of these lows. So at least with all this talk and some of this interest, we get the stock back to up here. But honestly, I mean, it's going to have to try to work itself out now. I don't know where this deal is going to go. And like Arun said, this is just a pure headline risk at this point. So I don't really, have the strongest opinion now on which way it's going to go. I prefer the long just because I feel like where there's smoke, there's fire. And eventually, either Twitter gets bought or maybe even Elon. I know he said this is his final offer, but let's see if that remains true. I'm a fan of Elon Musk. I'm a fan of Twitter, but honestly, they haven't been able to monetize. And I mean, he's talking about cleaning up the junk and just doing better not profiles, your list there. What do they call that? I don't even know. When they force it onto you, your timeline, that's what it is. I think there's some changes there. And he talked about you bringing crypto into the play. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with Twitter. But for me, I'd rather be long than short right now. But yeah, I don't know where the interest is going to come from. Maybe Jack Dorsey gets back in the ball game.
That would be spicy. Look, you just talked about AMD with the trade of the day there, Sean. But I mean, in general, when we're going over the big board, obviously you saw the chip weakness, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's been a pretty bad day for the entire sector across the board. I'm just looking at NVIDIA down 2%. And it's not just about today. Yesterday, we were asking the question after 6 or 7 down days in a row, you're getting to these bottoms. You had that first green day bouncing off of a double bottom at 212 specifically for NVIDIA. And it felt like, okay, maybe we're making a temp bottom. It's been a rough little go here. But now that we've pulled back 25+% on something like an NVIDIA, had we actually made a bottom? The answer at this point is undecided because we're right back to where we started after yesterday's strong day for a lot of these chip names, NVIDIA included. I know you're trading Ericsson this morning, Arun, but what are we doing here? Because that's not a great way to end the week, even if it's a holiday short one, and of course also options expiration.
Talk about Ericsson when we get to the tech weakness, but for NVIDIA, man, we were looking at NVIDIA in the last couple of days here after it got through that 225 area into this 210, 215 against the 200. That's where you've got to be looking at this point, given where you are sitting now here from late January and a few bounces through March. You're back into that support zone, down to 200, big round number. You've got a ton of support in front of that 210, going down to 200. This market, or NVIDIA specifically, is now hitting that buy-side support level, but it's not willing to bounce. That's why we kind of marked off these levels yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. 230 to the upside, 200 down below. Whichever side it breaks out of, that's the direction that NVIDIA I would be more comfortable going, right? If they bounce through 230, then I could be like, you know what, there's a decent amount of support down here, as expected, and it actually has a chance to go through 230 and back towards that 275-ish area. Now, flip side is, what happens if it breaks through 200? You see the trend. It's not a trend. It's not a long-term trend, but it came off the highs here at 290, and the trend in the last week or so, week and a half, has been clearly aggressive to the downside. I think since March ended, we've had 2 positive closing days. It was April the 4th and then April the 13th. So that's all you've got. And here is NVIDIA going right back down towards that 210 area. It's at 216 and change right now. But man, this is going to be looking real good if we get closer to that 200, because you can go in both directions with a low risk long and possibility of a nice breakout short through the bottom of 200.
All right, so we just talked about AMD. I mean, we've gone over that. I just actually reloaded the short. It's going to look ridiculous right now. Oh, man, we have these wicks, so that sucks. All right, so we just reshorted 95 again and getting some out in the 80s, like literally right now. Just taking it out as we have both Facebook long and NVIDIA short. So we're trying to play that relative strength versus weakness play again. Here comes AMD back in. We do have an out on Facebook. Maybe take one more piece here, 98 if I can get it on Facebook. Look at this, man. We just went long, long, long. We had one dump out there, got it back in, and just took it out. We thought maybe we got wicked out there on Facebook, so we got back in, and we've just been hammering it here at VWAP, and that's now starting to go back down, which is fine for me because AMD also going back down. So, hey, I actually have more shares in AMD than I do in Facebook, so that's going to be a good one. One interesting name that we talked about earlier, and I know Neil was looking to invest in this. I don't believe he has, but I know Prad also. No, it wasn't Prad. No, Prad was GitHub, I think, or GitLab. But look at this. We talked about Global Foundries taking out this $70 and that it was on its way, and it was, man. It went to 80. But then look at this name. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, keep counting. 12, 13, 14 days in a row. Wow. 14 days in a row of just pure chaos for Global Foundries. So this was a name that came out and actually one of the better working IPOs of the year, to be honest with you, even though you're right back into IPO pricing now. But this thing comes out at 45, 46 bucks, makes some moves up. I believe they made a deal with Intel. I'm not sure if they did or not, but you know, the foundry, we talked about the US trying to, you know, keep some of the chips in-house so they didn't have to worry about supply chain and so on and so forth. Labor disruptions, everything like that. That does happen on the outside. Cost of oil, cost of everything going up. If they can start to manufacture some of these chips, even the cheaper ones, to get Ford enough products so they can, enough chips so they can release their products and start to sell them. But this is a name that's pretty interesting to me, Global Foundries. We'll get it when they come out next couple weeks, but with their earnings. But this is a name that I'm looking at for a longer term play. And then just because Intel, again, I heard Tony talk about Intel, and he went back to 2016 and said it's at the same prices. Well, at least it's not down. So I mean, if you're into Intel, look, I mean, back to 2016, AMD was $2. It's $95 now. But a completely different name here, Intel. This is one they pay a dividend. So I just wanted to say, like, if you're trying to hide out, I'm trying to hide out in SMH right now and trying to buy some dips. But if you're looking for single stock risk here, I mean, although this is still pretty much 13 or 14 straight days, all the chips are going to look like this. You know, Intel's one that is not, you know, it's still a little off the bottom, so I feel like there's some relative strength there. If you look at AMD and we look at that, they've already cracked these levels lower. NVIDIA is close to doing that, breaking 210. But, you know, if you did find some kind of relative strength over the last, I don't want to call it strength, but over the last month or so, Intel's the one that's sort of been holding up the best. But if you take 53 and you look at 46, you're still down 20%, right? So it's been a nasty run for some of these semis. And honestly, until the NASDAQ gets healthy again, which who knows when that's going to be, maybe the next rate cut, you know, or rate hike, sorry, that's maybe when tech's going to turn around. But we already know the story. And unfortunately, semis are taking it on the chin right now.
100%. All right. I don't know if you remember, but when we were talking about Global Foundries, when it got above that 60, I actually finally got into it, one that I wanted to grab on the IPO and never did. That was kind of foolish not to. But when it got to 75 parabolically, we said on the show, like after that lunch, I'm just going to take it. It got a few dollars higher and then it's fallen in. So I'm not touching that thing until the next round of earnings, maybe even next year. But it's an odd segue because there's going to be an Intel link when we talk about bank earnings in a quick second. I know that doesn't make sense now, but we got Morgan Stanley, we got Wells Fargo, we got Goldman Sachs, we had Citigroup, right? And if you sort of sum them up here, Morgan, Goldman, and Citi all had great numbers when it came to their trading desk. You know, EPS beat for Morgan and Goldman, very large beats on both ends. Revenues were fantastic. That being said, some of them have all given some back here. When we talked about Wells Fargo, at the outset of the show, looking relatively weak. Their loan loss provisions, $1.1 billion versus J.P. Morgan, I think 900 million the day before, so a little bit worse on that end. Morgan's given almost everything back here, so they're only up 0.6%. Hard reversal after the opening rush, where it did start to go. There was a news story, and it's not a huge one, but it is worth mentioning. Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley are to lead Intel's Mobileye IPO. So there haven't been a lot of big IPOs this year, but Intel spinning off Mobileye has been something that was talked about since last year. So that'll be happening, and it looks like some deals are still happening, IPOs. That is one of the reasons. The lack of IPOs and the lack of deals is one of the things that dragged on some of these bank earnings. So unlikely to pick up this year, but not a great start because these were huge numbers, and we're giving most of it back here. Even Wells Fargo had a bit of a bounce, and it's giving it back.
A little bit here. Oh, just to provide an update, I actually want to, because the futures positions don't show up on the screen, I'm letting you guys know that I am short on the futures. I've got a few entries here. 24 is my average price here on the futures, so we are trying to play that pullback as the market comes back in after bouncing from the 44.04. So that's, for now, it's a 10-point winner. We'll leave that on the board and see how that one plays out. Morgan Stanley, man, we tried this one on the long side. Like the long, we're looking at the daily first. What does the daily do? Looks like a nice 86 break to the upside. Overnight trading looks solid. I like the way it's moving through that 86 level. We came in and I saw, you know what, 85.75 was the entry that was available for me. So I grabbed it right here in the pre-market. It went down all the way down to like 85 and change, pre-market movement, and then snapped back up. Okay, as soon as it snaps back up, takes out that overnight high or pre-market high through 87 and then falls right back, I'm like, gave it another chance, did the same thing, walked away from it. Then we made a mistake by leaving an offer that was supposed to be, so we made 50 cents on the first half and then got flat on the second and then accidentally got a short because of one of our offers that we left on the board. So it ended up taking a hit on Morgan Stanley because of that, the left offer. But the read was the same though. It was at 86, looked strong, and then take of 87 twice, it actually took it like 4 times and they got no juice north of 87. At that point, you're thinking, man, something's off on Morgan Stanley. You go back to the daily, what do you got? If you can actually get back underneath or willing to play the short side off that opening low of that, it would look like 85 even, which would be right here. It snapped underneath and then bounced. And then once you got into the afternoon, if you're willing to take it, the trade's technically still there, but it's gonna be ugly on the daily chart and it's not looking too good for a stock that's set up to go pretty well. And for it to do this, yeah, that's a problem. So definitely keep an eye on Morgan Stanley. Maybe not today. The trade for today is probably complete, but definitely keep an eye on it as it goes in the next few days because there's something going on here. On a day that it should have taken off, it did not.
Okay, so we did get a super chat there, and I meant to talk about it here from Scott. Sonic. Sorry, Sonic. What's up, Sonic? Hopefully not a hedgehog. But okay. So you're not going to like what I have to say because I have absolutely no idea what the heck ATNM is. So, I mean, you're asking about it for a long-term hold? I mean,
Anthem?
If you're asking, it's Actinum Pharmaceuticals. So I just have to ask you a question, Sonic. Like, why are you in this name, first of all? And I mean, so I'm only saying that because I'm going to assume that you know something about the stock. And I mean, that's the whole thing. When you're talking about long-term investments, I just feel like you need to know the macro story of a name. Like, forget if that's at $5 or whatever. Like, you know, I don't know enough about this to sit here and tell you that, yes, this is a good hold. But if you're going to break it down, I like stock off the 50 period. And right here, if you look at a daily chart, I mean, it's a dramatic move down. There's no doubt about that, $8. But it only stopped at 5, which is pretty good. And then you made that little loop across here, and we took down the 200 period. So I don't know enough about it if they're waiting for FDA approval or whatever. Whenever there's a pharmaceutical company, a biopharma, things like that, there are reasons for this kind of a move. If it was, I mean, I don't think it was earnings. We're just kind of getting into earnings season right now. But if you did get this kind of a move to the upside, take down the 200 period, that's a good sign. Like, if you look at it here, the last time it broke the 50 period, it went from 6 up to 10, and also obviously took down the 200 period at that time. But look what happens when it started to break it back down, right? So it started to break it into here, just went back up a little bit, and then just rode it all the way back down. So to me, it's trying to respect, and I just hope that this is a good answer for you. I think it's pretty good. In that if you just use this 200 period, it seems like here it's bouncing off of it until it breaks, and then it's gone, comes back up, retests, right? Doesn't hold, it's gone. So right now, I think if you're in this name, I mean, 650 is pretty close. So that's the 200 period. I would give it like back down to $6 here because that also coincides with this bottom. So I would look at this 580 bottom, $6. If you're looking to hold it for a longer term play, obviously it needs to hold that 6 to 580. So my advice to you would be if we dump through 580, then, you know, maybe, and again, this is what it's about. We had a chat the other day. Someone said, this was a long time ago, should I put my whole life savings into AMD? And it was at $130. Right? We were like, hell no, because there is that downside risk. And right now, you'd be down life savings minus 35% if you had done that trade, right? But if you had the out at 120 or something like we talked about, then it would be whole life savings minus 8%, right? And so I just feel like if you're in this for a long-term play, I like it, but I wouldn't hold it past that 580. So I hope that helps a little bit with that discussion. It's about the best I can do on a name that I have no idea other than technicals.
I think that was a good job. Quickly here, I just, because I heard you say the name, so I looked it up. There was a catalyst a couple of days ago for Actinum. They did get, they got a deal with iMedica to announce a commercialization agreement for a drug that I'm not going to be able to pronounce in Europe, Middle East, and North America. It's up to 450 in milestone payments. There's a 35 million upfront payment. They're a 150 million market cap company, so realistically, that's not a bad deal for them, but I think all the technicals that Sean mentioned are important, and you have to understand what your time frame is going to be. Look, obviously, we talked about the NASDAQ being down here. Apple at the low, well, bouncing off the lows of the day, down about 2.25%, just under 2.25%. As it has, had a 2-day rally, now we're getting back towards some of those lows on the week here. But overall, tech has reverse what was the big lead. The NASDAQ was up 2% yesterday versus 1 and 1 on the Dow and the S&P respectively. Today, they're leading the charge to the downside, quite frankly. So we're seeing a weak end to the week because I like to do that and do tongue twists every single time. But what are we looking at here? I know, both of you guys right now currently in short positions in tech names. Do we see any strength, or is this what it feels like, a sell-off going into the long weekend?
Well, that's I used to think that, hey, going into a long weekend, we should sell off. But there's been some times where it's gone in the complete opposite direction, where there tends to be an aggressive buy. So let's just not get too caught up that it's going to go one way or the other. More often than not, it is on the sell side. But at the same time, I've seen some crazy buys going into some holidays that kind of catch you off guard, like, where is this coming from? But anyways, in terms of tech is down 1.5%. As NASDAQ, actually, this goes to, somebody was asking, Sean, while you were at the screen, why you use the NASDAQ as a gauge for the market. And I would imagine this because you're trading tech names. So when you're looking at the index as a whole, you would want to focus on the tech index because that represents what you're trading more than what the S&P does, right? If you're trading just general names, that's different. But if you're trading tech-specific names, then having the NASDAQ up matters that much more. And the NASDAQ has been relatively weak today, so that leads tech down. I'm looking at the top 10 or so in the NASDAQ, and they're all down over 1%, most of them over 1.5%, except for Facebook, which is 1.29. So here we are looking at tech again, once again leading the market to the downside, and Ericsson is the one that I chose to go with because it was mentioned on our afternoon show right at the end of the earnings that would potentially come out. Ericsson, before I even looked at the chart of what it was doing overnight, I looked at what the daily was showing me, and I said 9 even, that's got to be it. 9 even break, that should open up the downside. So let me take a short if we can get there and stay underneath. I come into the day, and what do we get? We are trading right through here. It was like 885, 890. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to pay 895. I'm going to get really greedy, and I'm going to put an 899 offer in there, right as close to 9 even as I possibly can, and see if I can't get a fill. I got a fill. And so here I am, 899 on the short side. It's not a flashy mover. It's not going to be one of those highlight reel superstar looks, but at the same time, it's 39 cents or 40 cents. I actually locked out some at 45 cents on a $9 name. I'll take that every day. 6% to the down, not even 6%, 8% to the downside. And here it is just going sideways, and I've got half of it left. So we'll just let it go. I'll take it towards the end. We'll close it out at the end of the day. But for the time being, Ericsson has gone quiet, yes, but it's making money, so we'll just leave it alone.
Ooh, the short's getting ramped up. And we just take another bid. And this is what I'm talking about with AMD. You're talking about tech weakness. I mean, really, I'm just trying to trade the weakest names, man. And I mean, AMD down that 3%, double what the market's down, and we're still trying to make new lows. Well, we are making new lows right now in AMD. We just take another piece out right here. We should. It's crazy because I started scalping, and this is what I said to Arun, like I can't get my mentality out of scalping, but then Arun made sure that it was okay because thing is, as long as that's the way you're trading, your outs have to be scalped outs as well. And, you know, like on this trade, I just told you guys, my short, you can see what it is right now. It's 95. Where did I say my out was? The person that says it on the chat first wins something. I don't know what it is, but it's going to win something. So 95 was my short. I talked about it on the trade of the day. Where was my out? The point being right now is that I'm in the money now, 60 cents. Okay? So no, I'm short 95. So you lose, CLL. My out's not 95. But there it is. Yeah, Mookie Wilson. Shout out to Mookie Wilson. You are the first one right there on the chat. So you will win a
kudos.
A kudos for that. Actually, Mookie Wilson, you know what? I'm going to send you a hat. If you are on Twitter, this is this is the kind of guy I am. I'm going to send you a hat, Mookie Wilson, right there. If you're on Twitter, tell me you're Mookie Wilson. Send me your address and DM me, and I'm going to send you a hat for that. The People's Trader supports the People's Viewers. So right there, Mookie Wilson, you get a hat for that. 95.20. The point is right now, right? Or whatever, coffee mug, whatever. We'll talk about it. But the point is that right now we are in the money once again. That's 60 cents, on which I just took a piece out right there for that trade. But we're in the money now, 60 cents against a 20-cent risk. So that's the kind of style of trading that I'm doing right now, and that is just trying to put on more shares, scalp it against my levels, hopefully have the right way, and that's been working for said tech weakness. So my frustrating stock of the day, Neil, I'm going to throw it back to you, but it's going to be similar to yesterday.
Okay, so another one of those teasers. So like, you can't win every single day, but you can always get better. Well, you can win most days, but you can't always get better. So we like to talk about what is the frustrating stock of the day. Did you miss something? Did you miss an out? Did you miss an entry point? Could you have held on longer? I think it's always going to be true. I know it's not going to be Ericsson when you get a fill like that for a room, but let's get through them. What are your frustrating stocks for the day?
Oh yeah, mine is. It's not a stock, it's the futures. We had this issue yesterday as well. I was looking for fills at a specific price and we never got to it in time, but today was a little different. Yesterday was, we didn't get it because the market was going up and I was looking for specific prices in specific directions that weren't setting up as great as I would have liked. Today it's set up and I'm throwing offers out here. This was a future short here. This is a 5-minute. I was like, we're going to work shorts in here. We're going to work shorts in here. We bounced off that 30. We went all the way to 55. We came back in through the 40s again. I'm like, perfect. Offer. Nope, no fill there. And then I'm waiting, bounce. Nope, no fill there. I'm like, really? Okay, well, now we got to clear 15 to get the shorts going. And we kind of bounce right through the 15. So I'm like, if we can't break 15, I can't take the trade now. So here I am just waiting. We finally take 15. And I finally solved the problem of dealing with this frustrating thing all day of not getting the fills and the prices that I want, because I finally got my fill here at 24 on the futures. You'll see it on this screen here. 24 shorts on the futures. Finally got it. This is late into the day, 1 o'clock after 9:30, or not even 9:30, 8 o'clock start, trying to get some fills at 9:30, then trying to get some fills at 10:30, still nothing, and then finally got the fill on the bounce back up. So took care of business, but man, it took half the day to get it done. At least now it's going in the money, so yay.
Yeah, okay, so yeah. My frustrating stock today, I was going to use Veru or Lex or something like that, but I look back and really, I think we traded those fine. We lost on both of them, but nothing really to talk about. I want to talk about Ford. We put it on our sticky note here, breaking through 1580. That never happened. We didn't do anything. This is just in and out, nothing, and then this is in and out, nothing as well. But I don't know if you guys remember. Oh, no, this wasn't on the show. It was on the show in here where I canceled my bids. It came into $54, or 54 cents, sorry, and I didn't put on a big position because at this time the NASDAQ was coming down, and I know it's not a NASDAQ name, but I felt like the market was heavy. We were obviously short everything else, and I was like, you know what? I've already talked about why I like this level into 1550. It was yesterday's kind of consolidation near the end of the day. It's where we opened up today before we ripped up. So I definitely love, and you guys know if you trade with me or if you've been watching the show the last 2 years, you know that I love those even dollar levels. And honestly, the quarters. So go quarter, 50, 75 even dollars. This stops at 1550. Like, this is where I should have been loaded up right here because it came in. It was a stock that I was looking at. Unfortunately, lost track of it. And, buying Ford down here at 1550. Let's see if we get another chance. I mean, it's only at 1560 right now. Could come back into play here. The only problem is with only an hour left by the time I probably get this fill, I don't think we want to be holding it into the end of the day. So unfortunately, we may take another stab if it comes in. I mean, I'll put a bid here, 1552, 53, something like that. But really, should have kept that order there. We would have never got stopped out. I mean, it doesn't break, and even if it does, we would have given it down to like 45 or so. Well worth the risk, as obviously in hindsight, you see that it goes back up, but we were always wanting to defend this 50 level, and unfortunately, I sort of chickened out here, didn't take the trade, felt like the market was weak, and just didn't want to hold anything if the market was falling down, but I got to stay strong on Ford. So my mistake and my most frustrating stock was Ford. You have one over there, Neil?
I do have one. It was on our watch list this morning. It was CRXT, not to be confused with, I think it's CXRT that Tony is in love with, Tony the Tiger. But It was a breakout long for me. And I think right before the open, I was talking about the small cap name that I liked, and you can kind of look at this on the daily and see that it was breaking out, and then it had the 150 high. We took the long, but then it went to about 165, went that 10%, and then stopped me back out, which is fine. That went to the plan. The real problem is the next thing it did, maybe 20 minutes later, was put in a wick off top, and like that's usually where you're looking for that short position. Maybe whether it's on the consolidation or back through that 150 breakout price, and then it just decided to fall for the rest of the day, because that's what it does. When you miss those wick tops, when that's a lot of times the setup you're looking for, it can be a little bit frustrating. So it's one of those, maybe from the desk it would have been a different story, but that's more of an excuse than anything. You got to be watching for your favorite setups. Otherwise, what's the point of trading in there? But that's what it's all about. It's getting back on that horse, finding the next trading opportunity. We can't all win 2 days in a row, 100% of the time, like Ms. V when you're in live mode, but certainly we can always get better.
Yeah, congrats.
One thing I do want to say, actually, before we continue on, for anyone that was watching crude, absolutely going nuts from noon. It's been taking off. It closed stupid strong, and Indo going with it. Indo is now taking off as well. That's been moving since 2 o'clock, 16 now to 22.35 and halted. So here we are on Indo running. This is a chart on Indo. Indo's been a chart that's come in the past. Anytime crude's made a move, Indo's been in play. And just to put things in perspective, Neil, when you asked me about crude this morning, we were at like 103 or 104 maybe. Let me pull up this morning. It was like actually it wasn't even 102. It was it was 103. It was right about here when we talked about crude. I was like, oh, it's middle of the range. We need to get into that 105 to 110 area to kind of work a short, or we got to come down towards the 92.5 to 92. Yeah, it's starting to enter that zone. It is accelerating to the upside. So cheap entries down through that 95 area, now getting to the top end of the range, and it looks really strong going into a long weekend. You're seeing these names that are part of the energy sector getting moved up, that have been in play in the past, like Indo. Now crude has closed, essentially the 230 close, and now is going to dry up volume a little bit. Still trading on the Globex system, but volume's going to dry out. But man, crude was up higher than 3%, now only up 2%, but still into that range near the 110 area. Now we got to keep an eye on that 110 and see what that's got. But keep an eye on this, because this story is not over for crude, because it made a nice move through the bottom. Do we have a chance to break 110? If we do, then we have a chance to break 118-ish. If we do, gas prices fill up now, because that could be rough stretch if we keep doing that kind of a move, especially with the kind of solid base that we put in.
All right, I'm into IMPP, so Imperial Petroleum right now, not Patron, as we're going to go to the upside right now. That's from the Miami days there, the Patron. But not that I was drinking any of that. You're going to see here, it just took out 150, so of course, remember, when I get involved in these, it means like, I'm kind of like Tony on this one, and I'm stealing this from him. Like when he buys something, it only goes down. So watch out here. We took a small trade here on the 150 break. So let's see if that works out right now to the upside. You can see IMPP. There's that 150 right there. So we're at it, and let's see if that's enough to get this thing running. We did have this little gap there between the days from 158, that's 160. Realistically, though, unless you get a halt or something like that Indo, I'm really thinking that this is a nice trade up to 170, 175, something like that. So let's watch out for IMPP right there. What's up, Sam Troy? I got to give a big shout out to Sam Troy, who said his office, I guess, made 50 grand this week. Another Day Trade the World office, Sam Troy, killing it. And I hope that our show has something to do with that. What's up, Ms. V?
I actually also wanted to give a shout out to Sam Troy to sending us super chat for the dog and for daily support. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I remind you to like this video, and more importantly, make sure you're a subscriber of Trader TV Live. Just 9,000 more subscribers to come 300,000 subscribers community. And Daniel Shea, options trader, will join us. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Sam Troy. There it is, $27.99. Thank you, Mr. Troy, for that and all your super chats and all the nice. No mic for Valeria there, guys.
That's Valeria's fault. She always keeps it on mute. It's not. Oh.
Fahad guy's been sketchy from day one.
Fahad just cutting people off. Fahad, bro, what's going on, man?
No, I'm just playing around. Yeah, okay, so if you didn't hear, we can go back, but it doesn't really matter for now. We'll get back to Ms. V at some point. But thank you so much, guys, again, for all the super chats and for everything like that. We still are in this IMPP. Again, you know my targets. First out, I'll take around 60 if we can get it, and then we'll get out if it breaks through 40 or something ridiculous like that. What's up, Neil?
Along those lines, the INDO, IMPP, HNRG, USEG, all of those names running on no specific news that I can find. Remember, they have all squeezed before with energy. An update on what's going on with Twitter. Of course, they are having that town hall meeting later on as well, but the poison pill is separate from the company's evaluation of Musk's offer, which is continuing. So watch out for any low-flowed energy name. The headlines keep coming through for Twitter as well. And Arun, how dare you think it was Ms. V's fault?
Listen, I've made many mistakes. The last one being that I try to say a different national day than what Ms. V had. I learned my lesson that day, and clearly this is another lesson that I'm learning right now, is that I cannot blame Ms. V for her mic issues, even though she likes to turn off her mic a lot. That's on me. Sorry, Ms. V.
I mean, maybe you'll get fired.
Yes!
Exactly, right? So down with Ms. V. Yeah, we want to thank Arun, obviously, again, despite that reaction, for filling in again for Brendan this week. And Neil's been doing an absolutely fantastic job on the big desk. So we're really proud of all of the work here. And I'm especially proud of Toronto Tony, the pepperoni man. How he's been filling in for Trader Pratt has been a delight, honestly, to say that this is not. And the funny thing is, I talked to Ian, Brandon, and Luca afterwards, and they were like, "Oh man, I don't know how you do it like that for this long." And I'm just like, "Yeah, this is not easy to be trading, talking, trying to entertain, taking your questions, doing things like this." So I want to give a big shout out to everybody, those three gentlemen that I just mentioned as well. Great job on the show, on our midday show, and we're just trying to get bigger and better. Not trying, we are, including Daniel Shea coming up very, very soon. Let's talk all about options with her. I got a couple questions that we want to get asked, and I know Neil does as well. So Daniel Shea coming to talk all about options. So do not change your channel if you are into that kind of stuff and want a little higher look about that. So yeah, we're excited. It's been a few weeks. I think she had a computer meltdown. She had to get a haircut. A few other things happened as well there. So I'm probably going to get in trouble for that haircut comment. Yeah, so really fun. We're glad to have her back on. So stay tuned for that. And here goes IMPP. Like, come on, Sean, man. Stay in your lane, dog. Because honestly, like, I take this trade breaking through 150. Ooh, it did go to 157 though. I should have scalped it out, but we didn't. So now we're going to hold this one. If it breaks through this 140 right here, somewhere around here, we're going to get out of this name. So IMPP is one of those runners that keeps on going up. I don't know if your Endo's doing anything, but right now,
Oh yeah, Endo's doing it. It opened at 22.35. It's about to break 25.
Indo's a big name there for sure, but I'm just going to stick with what's been working, man. AMD to the sell side. I tried to get shorter there. We just missed it at that 94.70 level. So we'll see if it comes back in, but that's where I'm sitting to get more short into AMD. And then if it ever breaks 95, then we can kiss that trade goodbye. But for right now, let's just keep on the short, man, for all these names. One name that we're not talking about that's on everybody's mind right now is Twitter. Like, Twitter's looking at 45 again. I mean, that's been the bottom today. We've made only 61 fills on Twitter today. Like, what is even going on? But, we had the long. This was my last long, basically off these levels. So I am debating going long again, using this 45.25 or whatever as the bottom. It can get going. It's just I don't like the headline risk. It's exactly what Arun said. I'm going to be sitting here in a trade. Something's going to come down, and it's going to smoke 45, and I've lost just because of that reason, right? It's not, I'd rather trade this maybe on Monday or Tuesday. I'll probably be done Twitter, but right now, if I had to make a call, obviously we have the bottom of the day right here, 45.20. I would say the long is friendlier than the short right now until that gets broken. Then you want to go short. Floodgates open up on a 45 break. Over to the big desk and Neil Roberts.
Yes, sir. And we are happy to bring back Daniel Shea, VP of Options at Simpler Trading. It's been too long. It feels like it's been way too long, Danielle. And we have a lot that we'd love to talk about. I know Sean has some questions, but I kind of feel like we have to start in one obvious place. It's Thursday. It's a long weekend. Usually options expire on a Friday. Arun was talking about this yesterday, and it's something that I didn't even think about. But is there anything we need to consider with an options expiration on Thursday and a long weekend? What is your approach?
So generally with an options expiration on a Thursday like this, and especially a long weekend and in this market environment, most of the time I see selling rather than buying because, traders are just a little bit jittery going into the weekend and they'd rather take off positions than put them on. And typically in that situation, then you see the indexes slide a little bit lower into the end of the day.
Yeah, there you go. And I love that perspective. There's another unavoidable topic, and that, of course, has been Twitter. Elon Musk with his $54.20 offer for Twitter. Now, obviously, one could say, were there any hints maybe a week or two ago before he put his bid in or announced his stake? That's one way to look at it. But the other thing I think is interesting is what do holders of Twitter do now? Because maybe some limited upside there as people are now finding out the board might not be for this. What are some of the plays that are available, to people that hold shares of Twitter and are wondering what they can do? Or how could you possibly profit from this type of a situation, knowing that is it really going to be any better than that 54? They either take it or they reject it, and Elon's out.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is if you're already holding Twitter, and I have to say this as a Musk fan, right? I know there's a lot of people who are like, I got to get out of this. He has, he's going to take control. But personally, for me, I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking there's a high probability that they take the deal. And if you have shares, hey, they're probably going to go up to $54, right? So why get out of them now? I think the bigger risk for shareholders is if they reject his deal, because at that point, he's already stated that he's going to sell his stake, which is pretty large. So that would send prices lower. So I would actually say that's a bigger risk. For me personally, I actually agree with Sean. I think it would be interesting to try to buy it here and trade it up to 54, but there is a big headline risk there.
Yeah, and of course they have that town hall that's coming, and I kind of hinted at it, but just in case, I know you would look at this on a daily basis, but were there any hints in the options market, maybe the last few days or weeks coming up to this in Twitter? A lot of times, I've seen it before, I trade a lot of M&A deals, and you hear or look back and say, hey, 2 or 3 days before this was announced, someone made a rather large bet on calls. But I'm not saying it happened here, but did you see anything leading up to this that would have given us a hint?
Honestly, that's really not something that I use a lot in my analysis, and it's not something that I noticed. And so when I'm looking back and I'm thinking, is there any way I could have foreseen this? For me, the most obvious factor was him saying that he didn't want to take a seat in the board, because I was going to short Twitter after the news that came out. It was about 2 weeks ago now, when he noted that he was taking up all those shares, and it kind of traded up into, that key area of resistance. It was, let me just check out my charts real quick. I think it was around like $51, $52. Yeah, right around 54. I was looking at it and I was saying, okay, this is a buy the rumor, sell the news situation. I have to short this thing because it's going to fade after the news wears off, right? And there definitely was a bit of a short there. But the day that he announced he wasn't going to take the board seat, to me, that was the most obvious, because there's no way he was going to accumulate that many shares and then just say, well, I'm done with this game, So at that point, I decided it was not a short. It was therefore most likely a long, because he had big plans. So I'm definitely leaning more to the upside, with the exception being if they reject his deal. Then I think it's a short for sure.
Yeah, I can't see any way that it does go up if he rejects the deal. People like him for the turnaround, and if he's out, what's actually going to change for that company? Look, I know you tweeted out that you were looking at some shorts yesterday, and leading up to what happened today in tech, that obviously is a fantastic call. Roku, Etsy, names like that. It is the last day of the short trading week. Is there anything specifically that is on your radar? Tech has been incredibly weak, and I know that's something that you look at on a regular basis.
Oh, definitely. So, right here, what I'm primarily looking for is I'm looking for companies that have been hammered the last 2 quarters on earnings. and that have an earnings report coming up very soon. Because what happens is investors in those companies, they sit there and they think, oh dear God, you know, this thing gapped down 20% last quarter on earnings. What if it happens again? And people want to bail and get out of those stocks prior to that catalyst. And so I'm looking at companies, I got a couple of them right here. Actually, I really like Yeti. I think it's a great company. I've got, you know, Yeti mugs everywhere surrounding me. But I mean, this ticker, this is one that if you're looking at the downward trend and you're looking at the way that the stock, I mean, it's fallen from $108 a share down to 54. You have to have shareholders that are nervous. So when you're looking at a chart pattern like this, where it's just clinging to the lows like that, any kind of catalyst can just send it through the floor. So I'm looking at Yeti, Carvana is another one. I will say, and someone tweeted me on Twitter saying, hey, Danielle, you know, be careful with this one because it has a lot of high short interest. You do want to be careful shorting tickers that have a lot of high short interest, because if there is any kind of positive catalyst, it can rally. But at the same time, I mean, something like Carvana hanging out down here on the lows, you know, you've got earnings being a catalyst coming up very soon. Definitely have a lot of worry in that stock. You look at something like Etsy. This is another one that's kind of hanging out down on the lows like that. I also like Lyft and Uber. I just think that they have, and I like them to the downside, not the upside. I just think that they have a lot of issues right now between raising prices and their service is getting worse and gas prices. So I'm looking at those to the short side too. But I've been tweeting a lot of different, you know, earnings destruction candidates as well, but those are some that I'm looking at right now.
Hey, Danielle, welcome back, and thank you for coming on one more time. How's everything been?
Well, you know, just living the life, living the dream. I missed you, though.
Oh, good. Wow, how sweet. Thank you. Yeah, we missed you as well. Look, I want to talk about banks quickly here. Let's just get this over with real fast, because honestly, this JP Morgan right now, I have my chart up here on the daily, and it's breaking all these levels. And today we had Citigroup come out. Today the banks are actually trading okay. Most of the names that came out were positive. But again, JP Morgan negative and breaking this level. So as a day trader here, you know, we always talk about support, resistance, things like that. And then I have a couple new rules here, and that is never sell all-time highs or never buy lows, you know, because when it hits some of these levels, it's almost like it's down there for a reason, like it wants to break. On a name like JP Morgan, where we've traveled to 170, now back down to 125 again, you know, is this something where on the daily, and I assume your chart's going to look better than ours, we chart, unfortunately, all these down wicks right here, but you're starting to break out to the low side here. Is this like a setup possibly where we would just say, you know what, maybe we would like write calls or something like that against this, thinking that it's going to go lower? Is this a situation where now that we've broke, you know, we're now $20 away from the 50-period moving average here? Is this something where maybe we look lower on a JP Morgan? The banks don't seem to be performing that well right now. Any opinions on the big guy JP Morgan?
Yeah, so I mean, great question. First of all, I mean, JP Morgan and the banks, I'm definitely bearish on the banks. If you look back to the S&P around January 13th, that was when everything started to go wrong. And that was right when the banks started reporting earnings. I think that the JP Morgan earnings report was very bearish and not a good sign for the overall market. When you look at the actual chart pattern right here, I mean, 125 was my downside target. So as a general rule, when I have something meet the downside target like that in a bearish market environment, I would much rather have it bounce and trade up into, let's say 130 and then write calls. I really don't like writing calls after you've already had that downward move. It's typically a much higher probability way to do it when the ticker actually bounces back up into resistance and then you sell the calls. Right here, I mean, I do think it can still go lower, but I wouldn't try to short it because it's already made my downside target.
Wow, I mean, I'm just watching this. Yeah, good analysis there. you know, it's at that level and I'm wondering what to do with it. But look at AMD right now, just absolutely collapsing into the close. Now, we've been shorting it all day. Your trades are going to look nothing like mine. Short out a little bit, short, just keep on feeding it, the short down to the low, and now we're breaking through 93. If I look at the daily chart here for AMD, it's 1, 2, 3, the little green there, 4, 5. Anyways, it's 14 straight days of not much relief at all. And even when we went green, these candles didn't even cover the previous day's high. So, I mean, AMD continues to make moves to the downside. Is this something that, again, like, would you look at an NVIDIA, an AMD? I mean, I know trading options is one of those things where there's an expiration date. So you got to be very, very specific about what you're doing. But again, this broke that $100 shelf. And since then, it's just been straight fire to the downside. Like, what are we doing with tech right now? Like, I'm trying to buy the SMH. I feel like, and I know you're long-term as well with me. So some of these levels just seem to be too good to pass up, to be honest with you. I like it. I like 200 period moving averages on these, but maybe it's time, Danielle, that we go even further down than a 200 period, because a lot of these names, and I have the SMH up here, guys, if you want to look at it on the daily, we're right at like almost, you know, this crushed level right now, where if we can't hold this bottom from back in March when the NASDAQ first started to flush before we got a beautiful retracement back up, right now, this is looking pretty sketchy. So my ask to you is this. You know, when you get down to these levels, especially in a name that's been so beat down, that holds just so many names in it, the SMH, you know, what do we do here from an option standpoint if we're looking to sort of maybe hedge some of the positions that we currently have? You know, is hedging when you're at these lows, is it worth it? I feel like it's too expensive right now for me to get some puts onto SMH to hold them against my current equity holdings. Maybe it's time to write calls, so on and so forth. I mean, what are we talking about here if we're trying to hedge some of our current longs?
Yeah, I mean, great question. SMH right here, I think is just a huge canary in the coal mine. I mean, the way that AMD broke through $100 a share, and the way that NVIDIA just today broke through 220 was a key area of support for me on NVIDIA. And now that it did break 220, I would target 200 personally. So, in the options market, I'll do trades like that are, let's say AMD is sitting on $100 a share and it starts breaking. That is a moment in time where you can come in, and I am an AMD shareholder and I do sell AMD calls. That is a time where you can come in and you can sell some calls just to hedge your position a little bit. You can also, in the options market, trade it from 100 to 95 or trade it from 100 to 90 just by buying puts. The problem is, like you mentioned, they're really expensive down on the lows. So that's actually when I utilize multi-leg option strategies like butterflies or put debit spreads, because that's going to bring down your cost basis a lot, and it's going to give you a much better risk to reward. So, I will come in and I will continue to hold my AMD shares, but then I will short it on the short term in the options market or just sell the calls. You can do that. As far as like putting on a big hedge here, I really think it's a little bit too late for that. Looking at the chart patterns, we're down here. This is a make or break moment for SMH. It's a make or break moment for NVIDIA. And if these, 2022 lows break, you can flush continually. We can go down a lot lower. And so this is like my number one big focus right here. I do think you can short the lows and you can trade it. As far as my long-term accounts, we've talked about this before, when these kinds of tickers are down to this extent, yeah, I will buy more for sure, because, 2, 3, 4 years down the line, this is going to be a massive sale. But right here, these stocks are showing us that the NASDAQ is most likely going lower.
Yeah, the minute that Jay Powell back in November started to basically from a dove to a hawk, he turned so hawkish that it was kind of obvious, some of those points. But again, I sit on my hands and don't really do anything about it. This weekend is Easter. Is that a big celebration in your family? Any plans? What you guys up to?
I love making this holiday all about food and laziness. I like to color eggs. I like to make lots of cookies. I like to make brunch. I'm really
What are we
big
having
into
for dinner?
cooking. Well, when you're kind of snacking all day, I don't really feel the need to make a big dinner, especially on a Sunday night,
I'm all about a
That's just
roast.
how I do it.
I'm going to my parents' house, and I'm gonna phone her after work. My mother and father. I'm gonna demand a nice little pot roast. I love the pot roast, but I'm down with the snacking as well. VP of Options at Simpler Trading, Daniel Shea. Thank you. Promise me you'll be back next Thursday.
Of course.
Hair looks good, by the way. Thank you, Danielle Shea. We'll take you from here, Neil. Thank you, Danielle.
Another fantastic interview, as always, with Danielle Shea. Yeah, of course, we'll try to get her back every single week because we know you absolutely love it. While we were away, that INDO did open back up. It's up 50%. Remember, they were all running. Made a top. Well, it made several tops at $25, like 4 or 5 on the 3-minute chart, breaking over and over and over again. Now looking like it's barcoding a little bit. It was actually relatively cheap to pay for shorts. I dove in for the first time today off the high of the day, but IMDL moving. IMPP was also on the move. It looks like we have some power hour movers to end this week, guys.
What?
I heard none of that because I was busy trading.
Yeah, none of us heard that. But yeah, I agree 100% with Neil, like over and over again. Whatever he said, that is all good on that one. But okay, let's just continue with what we're doing. If Neil, let us know if there's anything valid there, and we'll talk about
All
it
right,
in the chat.
okay, the reason why I wasn't paying attention is the futures, right? It's not on the board, but I am short the futures. I mentioned this actually when we started. I'm short at 24. Actually, average is about 24. So I'm in a 20-point winner right now. Can you guys see? Can you guys pull the bottom third off for Fahad? I got some out here in front of these evens, so I am working my way out of some of these positions here, cashing out. I'm looking for that 4,400 to break. If I can get the 4,400, I'm probably going to get some more out if we can actually get closer a little bit. But I am tightening up the stop in the event that there's a false break through the bottom. But I actually want to start taking some profit here. There's a decent amount of volume. Starting to see the volume pick up a little bit around that 4,400 on the buy side. It could still break, but I do want to protect at least some of these gains and not give back too much, because as it's moving back up, there is a very big chance that it could easily just snap back up and take off to the upside. We saw it this morning where it was like a 15, 20-point move from the mid-30s as soon as we got to the open, right? So I'm trying to protect against that, but at the same time, trying to let it move around a little bit. It shouldn't move around too much, because I think once we cross these 10s, it's going to be a problem for these shorts to play out even more. But for now, 20 points in the money, cashing out in front of the evens. We'll just keep working some more exits out and see if we can actually hold on to this. Maybe there's a final hour push to the downside. I don't know. Long weekend. That's what you would expect, but let's find out.
Come on, IMPP. Let's get going here. This name should be. Where's my minute chart here? Nope. Shout out to Playmaker as well. What's up, buddy? Glad to see you there in the chat. Don't work too hard and stay safe, obviously. Yeah, I don't know. I'm debating just hanging them up here on IMPP, but we do have our 40 out. So, I mean, to take 7 cents worth of risk here back to the downside, I don't know. I was debating getting a piece out here, but I did do similar stuff to you there, Arun, where we just had that massive move down in AMD. So we took another piece out right there. I mean, it broke through 94, and it was like Ezekiel Elliott all over again. How do you like that one for Playmaker right there? And we start to eat on this AMD short. I mean, just like you did there on the futures. Great trade, Arun, on that one. But thanks, Daniel Shea. Some good talk there, about some different names, maybe hedging your portfolio and whatnot. But there it is, man. AMD just now breaking even lower, man, Arun. So good thing we held on to some of these as we're starting to get lower and lower and lower on this name. And honestly, there's not much in the way here for AMD now. And, clear sailing to the downside. Let's just see what happens. We do have imbalances out in about 40 minutes. So that's something to look out for. WFC, I forgot to mention that when I was talking to Danielle about some of the names that have been getting hit here today. But WFC down that 4.5%. We talked about it early, breaking that 46. The level we wanted was 46 here in the pre-market. It did break it, no problem. Went all the way down to 45, but after that, a nice move up. And now we're above the 50 period, and we're above VWAP. So actually, now that I look at this, I'm debating taking this long right here, 46.40, against some of these levels of 46. So we'll see about that when we get back, but right now it's Neil. What's up?
Said headline risk is an issue in Twitter. Well, Elon Musk out saying he will endeavor to keep as many shareholders in privatized Twitter as allowed by the law. So obviously, one of the issues, you take that cash and maybe you wanted to be in the rebuild. But either way, Twitter, what's that, LBWFC, Twitter shares looking like they're trying to hold off some of those bottoms, but they come fast and furious, these headlines. There's been at least 15 to 20 of them, and I don't think they're stopping anytime soon. I mean, Elon, he's not going to be shy about voicing his opinions.
He's going to try to... I thought they said that the most that he was going to be able to get, and I don't know who makes these rules, doesn't make any sense to me, was that 14 point something percent of shares. But again, we broke through that 45, and what I started that with Danielle Shea there was basically this 45 level, that if that broke, then I think you'd get out of your trade. I mean, look at the 50 period here. This is the 50 period moving average. This is why I use it, man. I mean, look, it respected it right there, respected it again, and we're nowhere near it right now. So there's a nice little downward move here into Twitter. So I don't know. I definitely don't want to go long. It's not looking like it wants to do anything right now. No real barcoding action there for Twitter, but for right now, it just continues to work to the downside. Wow, our XLE is at it's not all-time high, but at 52-week highs right now, and still working XLE to the upside. Ooh la la. We are now into Ford, as Ford just filled up right there. Yeah, so good. All right, this is what we like. So Ford right now into this level. I already have my stop out. We're going to give this 10 cents right back into here, 15.44. If the market rallies off the close here, or into the close, sorry, then obviously I've got a name here that I like, that I think we can get back at least to the 50 period, which would just be... What's happening here?
Futures broke 4,400. That's what's happening.
The futures broke to the downside. Yeah, that's a great trade. Oh, no, I was just... Okay, I did put an offer on IMPP and take a little bit out there at 47. But again, I don't have any more offers. I'm just trying to get this thing back to the highs. I just want to take it a little bit of risk. It feels stupid for me to sit in this trade right now. But if it gets going, look at the volume. I mean, that's why, maybe I can, let me just bring this back up a little bit there. So there's the volume here on IMPP. And I just feel like that's really died off. Now we're back to 50, so that's good. I might just take another piece out right here. It's like my AMD win, and I don't have, it's not like I have a lot of shares in this. It's just like, as it was just flirting with 140 there, I was like, man, this sucks, because even if you lose $100, $200 on something like this, it didn't work. So I feel silly kind of just sitting here and holding it. So I might take one more piece out at 49, give my average out of 4 cents. That way, if it gets back to day's high, I don't have any offers, then we can sort of take that. So I'm debating just sort of licking the wounds here on IMPP. Why don't you go over that futures trade? Because again, starting to break. Well, now it's starting to bounce up a little bit again, but that just broke a key level for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was 4,400, a number to watch because it's a round number. Guys, let's pull off the lower third again. It's just the way these charts are. Again, we were working, trying to work a wide range this morning. Couldn't get fills. That's why it was a frustrating stock of the day for me. Nice little setup in this zone. I've been working shorts in this zone. I'm sure you guys have watched this show and come on and be like, why is Arun always short? It's just the way the market's been while I've been on the show. It's in areas that I want to short. So it just happens to be that I'm always on the short side for the last little bit when I'm on the show. So here we are working that short for the third day in a row in the same zone here, that pretty much that 25 to 30 area all the way up to 65. That was great on the 12th. We rode that from pretty much, I think the average was like 45 or so, got out, got back in at 30, and then rode that 30 all the way down, and then tried this morning to grab some 40s, no fill, waiting for that 15 to go. Caught the move on the bounce back to 24. Let me pull that up. Caught the move on the short right here. So this afternoon rally, yeah, I faded that rally right through that 24. I think we topped out at about 27.25. And then here we are breaking 4,400. And the targets, let me pull up our actual software chart, because that'll show the executions. That was the other e-signal chart that did show the executions. But as you can see, we've got 24 shorts, a couple entries here. Just working. I wasn't sure. I know I wanted to work in this area, but I wasn't sure because of the strength coming up. So I took half, didn't like it the way it was moving initially, waited a little bit, saw what I needed to see, took the rest of it. So I'm fully loaded here at 44, and 44.24 was the average price. working the exits, couple exits here in front of that 4,400. I've got the rest. That's a 25-point winner. And all I'm doing at this point, now it's deep in the money, I'm just managing, right? Like, there's no rush to get out. We've got about 45 minutes. We've got about 35 minutes before imbalances, 45 minutes before the equity close, and then I can also take this to 415 if I need to. So we're just going to ride this one out. For anyone wondering, like, why do we care about the futures? Well, you want to create a basket of the names you're watching. Yeah, you can watch the Apples and the Microsofts, but why not pay attention to the entire tech market if you wanted to do that, right? So that's why you can look at the NASDAQ futures for anyone who's looking at specifically on tech. If you're looking for broad market, everyone knows the S&P 500. That's what the ES futures are. That's what I trade on the floor sometimes. Actually, Prad is doing a pretty good job recently, too, of trading the micro ES. So if you want to learn how to trade the futures, it's a little bit different from stocks. The risk is different. The leverage aspect is completely different. Remember, each one of these contracts is leveraged 50 times. So each point it moves, it's $50 for each contract that you have. So just be aware that the leverage aspect is something that needs to be factored in. And then the cost of trying to take a position, because a lot of brokerages ask for a ton in terms of margin requirements, right? So if you are under the PDT rule, probably not going to happen on these ESs, but the micro ESs is available for you guys. The micro is 1/10 of the value. Also, in terms of margin, a lot less requirements as well. So you have it for the ES, you have it for the NQ. I'm sure you have some crude micros as well. So you can learn to trade there, or you can also do the spiders or the Qs, which is a representative of the same thing of the NASDAQ futures. So a lot of different options, but definitely something to keep an eye on if you want to look at the broad market as a whole. And as I say that, be aware that each index has a weighting system. Each stock in the index has a different weight. In the NASDAQ, Apple and Microsoft represent north of 20% of that index, even though there's supposed to be 100 stocks in there. 2 of them represent north of 20%. So just be aware that not each stock has an equal weight. Apple has a bigger say than Microsoft, but barely. But Apple and Microsoft have a bigger say than pretty much the next 3 or 4 names that come beneath them. So just be aware of that when you are trading these futures contracts. Neil.
The run continues, guys. INDO broke 27 a couple of times now. 27.25 we just got to. No halts just yet, but 30 looks like a distinct possibility. It's not alone. CEI, oh, my chart doesn't want to come up here fully, but CEI, Camber, just made a late run as well, up 10%, getting very close to that dollar mark. So those low float energy names in consortium, if you can find one that hasn't gone yet, that's consolidating, worth a break.
Found one. IMPP, simp on imp today. Absolutely nothing here. Like, I don't know. We take this. We thought this was going to be one of those breakers as well. So we'll just sit here and watch this. And Imperial Petroleum. So, hey, it's in the right space. Should start to go. But what is going? And again, we just do stuff like this here, man. Here we go to the upside goes Ford. I mean, it came right in. And look, I'm proud of this trade for a couple of reasons. A, it's in the money, so that's always pretty good. And B, I broke it down for you guys. I mean, it was just one of those things where I said that it was my most frustrating name today. Not anymore. We corrected that ASAP here as it came back in, and we took exactly the trade that we wanted to, man. It came right into 52. We took the 52 bid, and now first leg out was 20% actually out there into this level. The good thing it wasn't 55, it was 56. Now I'm waiting for 58 to the upside, just one more penny blast up, and we'll try to get that out. And then realistically, that's the 50 period moving average. So those are always levels that I like. And then once we can break above it, it's much different than this because we hung out down here before breaking. This was a quick move. So a little, darn it, a little retracement back up to the 50. I mean, we still could lose on this, but a little retracement back to the 50 period is what we're looking for. So that's good. And then we'll try to hold out, again, hopefully 80% or so. No, sorry, it'll be 60%. Try to hold out for that 62. And if it gets up there, then we'll sort of rework our order management at that time, hoping for a nice little move back there. So the S&P, sorry, you're on the S&P. The NASDAQ right there just took down to 50 period. So you know what? Like AMD right now is getting again back to that 94 level. To me, this is another short. So let's put on more shares here for AMD and see if we get that fill. As there it goes, it runs us over at 90. So we'll take that fill there into 90 or 91, whatever I got there. But there it is. We engage in another short. bouncing off that 50 period. So I'm going to take it until we're wrong. That's 94.20 right there. So I'm trying to give both of these, all of these moves like 20, 30 cents, something like that worth of room, because as I start to scalp it out, that's generally what I'm taking on AMD is 20 to 30 cents. So we already have a downside move right here. And it's just simple math. I mean, we talk about risk to reward. Sometimes when you're entering a trade right now at 318, you need to give trades room to breathe. There's no doubt about that. But honestly, like, how much more movement are we going to get? And we could get a lot. It's kind of a rhetorical question. But if the bottom right there is 60, I just took a fill at 90, that's 30 cents. So if I'm going to be wrong on this, I'd like to give it at least to the 50 period, which is about that 30 cents, and we'll up it a little bit more. So, you know, into those levels is where we're looking for this trade. Ford, man, we should have taken it out there at that 57. Now that I see that that's where it is, maybe I'll put another offer at 55. And then see about that 57 versus 58. So we'll see if we, no, sorry, my first bet was 56, actually. Maybe we'll take a 55 here. It's still 3 pennies. It's not a huge, I understand that, but let's just try to get into a little bit of a scalping mode here as we get ready to close out the day. Still need that IMPP to go, man. It's hovering around 150.
Yeah, I'm just waiting it out. I was looking through the comments. Tony, I'm making a very good clarification. When I said the PDT rule, I meant obviously PDT applies for equities. Futures, it does not. But what I meant was that if you aren't able to satisfy the PDT rule, odds are you probably don't have the margin requirements for futures contract on the ES, and that's why I suggested the micro ES. So keep an eye on that. Margin requirements are stupid high, especially on the NASDAQ right now. ES is like 20 grand, and the NASDAQ is almost 30 something, I think, at this point because of the volatility factor. So be aware of that if you're deciding to look at the futures as we talk about it, rallying up from these 4,400 breaks. We've tightened the stop on this. Remember, we've cashed out some in front of these 4,400s. Before it broke through, snapped back up, and then we are kind of trailing this through 15, 16, 17. We'll see how that one plays up there, but I am going to trail this one. Worst case scenario, I walk away with like a 7-point winner on the rest of this, but I've cashed out what I needed to cash out in front of 4,400, making a decent chunk of change. And no, somebody was asking, how many do I take? Do I take one? At one point in my career, I did, but not anymore. So I've got enough exits left that I can, you know, work my way out of this in such a way that I'm happy having to take only one trade on the day. That's what it takes. All I need is one shot at this, and then if I get it right, I'm good to go. If I get it wrong, it's going to be an expensive drive home. So here we are, just waiting for this market to kind of move on. We got about half an hour left before these these imbalances come out. Since I'm here, I might as well talk about it, right? Everyone's new. No, not everyone new, but we tend to have new people coming in. What I mean by imbalances, guys, this is what matters, especially going into a long weekend. This is going to be something to definitely pay attention to. Imbalance locator essentially tells us how many shares need to be bought and sold by the end of the day on the on-close or the official closing price, right? So if everybody sends an on-close order tag for their market on close, you want to capture the final official closing price from the exchange at 4 o'clock for BAC, right? This is old data from this morning, but if you want to catch it for BAC, let's say, you send market on sell because you want to sell your position, you're long, you want to sell. All those orders that have that specific tag get put into this kind of a thing called an imbalance locator. Ours is just kind of built right into our system. What we see is symbols on one side, direction, size, and paired value. The other stuff doesn't really matter. Why we care about these ones, symbol, obviously you need to know the symbol. The direction of the majority of the orders is going to be what the side is going to show. Size is how much or how many of the orders that have been sent through haven't been matched already, because obviously the job of the specialist is to match as much as possible. So in BAC's case this morning, it had 439,000 shares that couldn't be matched. Now, what they have to do is then figure out a fair price, the official, in this case, opening price, that they can execute that entire block at, right? So that's what you saw this morning on BAC. 995,000 was already matched, and then they had another 400,000 left to go, and they had to kind of figure out where to open it. Now, that's going to be the exact same thing at the end of the day. At 3:50, this information comes out, and we actually have, at 3:50, you get the update. And then at 3:55, you get the floor update. And then it just continues on until 4 o'clock. We constantly get updates, but the big ones that matter, 3:50, that's when the information is sent out to everybody. 3:55 is when the floor broker interest in that specific stock gets put into the board as well. So what you then see is a lot of these names change directions because all of a sudden what was a buy at 350 is no longer there because there's enough interest on the opposing side from the floor. So that's what you're looking out for. 350, 355. Keep in mind, options expiration means added volatility, added sizes. So that's something to keep an eye out for as we get into the end of the day, especially at 350, because it'll be important to watch on a day like today going into a long weekend.
Yeah, great explanation there. Yeah, we'll always review for you guys. I mean, we always have new viewers, but it's always great to have Arun have a quick look at the imbalance locator for us. So, yeah, it's very, very important to all these trades, man. Like anything on the NASDAQ, any big kind of a play when you're holding the futures or any sort of a single stock risk that comes out. Like if an AMD for some reason could come out a big buy, right? Just some house wants to buy AMD today, or some hedge fund or something feels like this is a good price, and they don't want to buy 3 million shares or anything in the open market because of what that will do. Like you can't just market into 3 million shares, but you can get filled 3 million shares very easily at the end of the day on a market on close order. So that is what can influence the market faux show right there. But okay, I don't know if we've hit this yet today.
Oh, no animations today?
Oh, no. There's animations. That's there it is.
Oh.
Yeah, the animation. That's just a audio. A GIF there, or whatever they're called. But there it is down to the downside right now. We still have. We have our favorite one that we haven't played in a while. Here we go. Friday. We got the hat on. You got the beats going on. Everything's all good here. Arun's in a monster short. I've got some decent trades on myself right now as well, including the reload, which is why we hit that animation there. We talked about getting loaded up again at the 50 period. I really got to speak to somebody about these wicks, man. I've spoken over and over about them, so I guess it's futile, but I just wish it would just show much better the kind of trades that these are, because yours look so sweet on the because they are on your futures chart. We don't have these issues, but right there's a 94. Where was that, Phil? That was 94.07 there, or 06, sorry. And now we're back into the 80s. So like I said, man, here we go. We're just doing it again. We're belly dancing our way to a lot of cash today as AMD. Like, look at this. Now it's coming back in. I told you when we started to take these trades that we were in scalp mode, right? And starting to take out some of these fills as they come through. So you could see, man, it's just been a scalper's paradise. Like, we could have the Arun trade on and just hold this. It's just like I said, man, different trading styles for different people. We've been scalping it all out. It's way too many outs, I agree. But at the same time, as long as I'm reloading, then net, it's kind of the same thing. And again, it's not the same thing, but you got to figure out your style. I know what mine is right now, and I'm just going to keep on doing that as AMD. Good take right there. See, we just got an 80 bid off of an 06 reload. So far, so good here. And by the way, Ford went all the way back to 57, and I didn't take it. I was still waiting for 58, so I'm still going to wait for 58. Let's see if we get a 58 here on Ford. What you got for us, Neil?
I got a name that's breaking the high of the day that isn't some random small cap. Remember we talked about Nike at the beginning of the show, one of the down names that's very strong, shooting higher on confidence that issues in China will be hurdled. That is the headline, and there was UBS coming out with that. It just broke seconds ago the high of the day, up 5%. You're not going to find a big cap name which has been stronger than Nike on this day. It's a couple of good days in a row for Nike, but just touched that high of the day. Given the volume and volatility it's had the last couple of sessions, maybe a name that could be on the radar going into the last day of the week, and of course those imbalances.
Yeah. All right, you see me in the Ericsson short from this morning. It's time for me to start working my way out of this one. It's going to take, given how slow it's trading, and given the fact that I'm focused on the futures at this point, I just need to start working my way out. I don't want to have to punch. I'm being very, very picky at this point because I don't want to pay the fees to actually hit the offer and lose a penny. So I'm going to start bidding my way out and see if I can't save myself that little bit, just because, this guy's cheap, real cheap right here. So see if we can't get hit on the bid and get paid to do it at the same time. So working our way there. Futures now back towards the 4,400, still waiting. See if we can actually get a move that extends towards the 90s. I've cashed out what I needed to cash out, so we'll take this one to 4 o'clock. Maybe we get some downside action. Hey, options expiration is going to bring added volatility. That is something to definitely keep an eye on. So as we get to the end of the day, we got about half an hour left in the day, and about 20 minutes left before we get these imbalances coming out. And this market, if I were to pull out the multi-day chart on the hourly, are we that far away? Can we take a shot at these 80s? Is that possible today? Because that'll be interesting if we actually get down there. It's 20 points away, but 20 points in this market hasn't been that hard lately. So we'll keep an eye out, see if we can get a move to the downside. I'm holding on for the rest of this position, see if we can actually ride this one all the way through and take it into the end of the day. But man, if this market accelerates, I'll tell you this much. Even if it doesn't accelerate, the last few minutes, there's going to be a burst of volume because that happens every time. Doesn't mean it's sell side volume, but there's going to be a burst of volume and these futures are going to go absolutely nuts. So I do have to protect myself against that as we get to the end of the day as well. So once the equity closes, it's a little bit easier, but man, is it going to be tough around the 57, 58, and then it really starts to pick up in volume as programs take over. So just watch out for that. If you are in a position that is maybe close to entry, as we get to the end of the day, if you can survive past the imbalance, it's probably a lot better to be, tighten up the stops a little bit because of how aggressive these programs are as we go into a long weekend.
All right. Yeah, great advice there. And that's what we'll be doing for sure. Like if AMD, I don't really want to hold that into that 350 number. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching us today. And I just keep on looking here. It's a good one today. Yeah, someone ruined it today. They took $1.75 on nice. SQQQQ. So a good little trade there. I'm not really, I'm ruining things. I'm at the highest spot I've been at all day today. So for me, it's been a good one. Too many trades, obviously. I have 300. Like, how many trades do you have there today?
12 on equity.
12.
And I've got 6 entries on the futures. Yeah. 6 entries, which makes sense. Actually, no, it doesn't make sense. It's probably because one of my orders got split.
300 fills. Like, yeah, there you go. Just ridiculous.
But that's just our trading approaches,
fine.
right?
I've had a big successful week. Couldn't be happier with the way trading is going, and I'm just doing that on purpose to highlight some of the differences here that we do have. It's just kind of like Arun wouldn't be mad missing the 58 right here because that's not, he'd be looking for something up here, and that's fine. But I am mad because there it is again. We missed the 58, so now I get like, and again, it's just a matter of trade your own books, man. Trade your own share size. We're just trying to give you guys some ideas on what might work and what has been working for us. So that's a missed opportunity there. Not a missed opportunity. Just wish we got that 58, but it looks like there was like no volume, one little tick up. So on that note, I think we can probably now safely say that should be happier taking something out at 56 now on Ford. And if we get 58, that would be fantastic. Just quickly here, so we don't miss this trade, I am looking for a reload here on anything to the upside, including right now 94.07 would be another reload for AMD. So that's a position that I'm looking for right there, 94.07 on a reload for AMD, and then hopefully it drops back in as I'm willing to and ready to hold the rest of this trade until the close. So I do. As I say that, we got Ford at 56, so that's good. I just want to make sure I don't have too many bids down here on AMD. I do have a bid at 70. I believe it was Neil. What's up?
Just if you're watching that halt page, CMLS, Cumulus Media, just halted to the upside. Volatility halt. There's already a story out here. Consortium led by U.S. radio station industry veteran Jeff Warshaw offered to acquire Cumulus for close to $1.2 billion. The offer would be to take it private for about $15 to $17 per share. So that is the story. It just halted to the upside now. And we've seen this before, speculation of a deal and then a halt. They ended up reopening that one, and who got caught in an overnight position because they halted like 3 or 4 minutes because of news. So trade it very, very cautiously. If they do open it back up and then there's another halt, it could end up being news-based, waiting for a comment from the company, and then you're stuck over the weekend. So trade it with caution if you see this when it opens back up. And to Miss V.
Neil, and hey guys, I remind you everyone that tomorrow there is no show as markets will be closed for the holiday, and we've got a super chat from Damian Stevens for $50. Have a fantastic long weekend, trader family. Thank you for everything you continue to do. Best show and 3 trading education. #StikyNoteNation. Thank you so much, Damian, for that. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and thank you again for supporting the family. Hopefully this time Lucas made my microphone working.
What's that?
I'll just say not yet, but now you go.
Okay. Oh, it didn't transfer over. Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Strange asking, is my bias for the next week going to be short on the futures? No, I don't have a bias unless I have levels to work with. For now, we are working the bottom end of the range here. If we can get through 75, I would stay on the short side. But if we end up going back up north of 44.65, then I would actually flip to a long. So it depends entirely on where we are. So I don't come in with a specific bias. I'm just looking at the market going, you know what? Yeah, you know what, we're stalling in this area. I'd like to work on the shorts in this area or longs in this area or something like that. So depending on the day, depending on how we're trading going into it, I'll kind of go with that. And then Patrick asking for that sniper shot. There you go, Patrick. That's for you. That's on the futures. That's the only thing I can really do. I have three stocks that I traded today. Veru, lost money on. Morgan Stanley was good until a keystroke. Lost money on that one unnecessarily, stupidly too, unnecessarily. And then Ericsson, which I just cashed out of. And then the big one is going to be the futures as it takes that low again now, 43.9675, the new low, 96.25, the new low, and it is heading to the downside. Doesn't look like it's can't stop, won't stop on the downside for the future. So here we go. Maybe this could be a nice close into the end of the day as we hit that 4 o'clock. And hit that options expiration time too. That's going to all show up right at the end. You know that volume's coming in, so let's see which direction it wants to come in at.
Yeah, agreed, man. We'll get that financial juice number in a minute as well for you. Okay, here we go. AMD is right at that 70 level, which is close enough to the low of the day. We do have a bid to get out here of some of our short. We've just reloaded it. I mean, since you've been here on the show, I know you guys are asking for a runes trade. He already gave you that futures trade. He's already in it. He's not going to be adding to that position, I would assume.
I might.
Okay, so he'll let you know if he adds to it. But right now, that's the position that he has on. I've been adding to the AMD short. Including a couple of reloads right there. As now, come on, man, just hit me at 70. Like, don't be like that. Hopefully we can get back down in only 4 cents away now from a nice little out there for me on AMD. That's only going to be one piece. I do just want to take, I mean, like, why do I even, and this is part of what I get involved with here, because now I'm thinking, like, I cancel my 71 bid and just put it at 75. What's really the difference? But again, was waiting for that 70, so maybe we'll hold out for it and see if we get it right now. Other than that, Ford, we got 56 out. It did go to 57 on us there. I'm still waiting for 58. Hopefully that can come through. Tesla, let's look at Tesla today, as that's been a little sick too, man. I mean, I recently bought this one at 1060. It's coming back in. But again, like, not much happening here. We talked about some key levels earlier this morning. I believe it was 970 is what, yeah, right down here. Yeah, 970 that we wanted to look at. Never got that low. It only got as low as 980. So I think 970, a good little spot for me on that name. I am going to take, oh, darn it. I'm going to take an 80 then on AMD. So there, oh, darn. I put an 80 and it gets hit right away. So my 70 turns into an 80 right there. So we give up 10 cents, missed that level by literally like no pennies. I was just sitting on the wrong gateway. Should have got filled up there, but we did not. So we'll see if AMD comes back in right now. Anything else you want to look at? Oh, Elizabeth Goodyear was MDVL, Medivale here, I believe it is. Yeah, Medivale. Yeah, exactly. So NASDAQ. I don't know, Neil. We're going to have to call for Neil on this one on news, MDVL. But again, big spikes early on this name with volume coming around noon. So if there's anything there around noon, brought this up to 270. Just kind of like it took that 50 period. So that's always a good sign. I mean, look, I'm still in IMPP, just dead, not doing anything. So my sort of analysis here on this one would just be that whenever you zoom back out, this is what we like to do. You look for days that have the volume, right? This was back here on the 8th. So April the 8th, my parents' anniversary. Had some nice little volume into there. 260 was the high. Look at today's high, 260. So just coincides. So if you look at where this dropped down to the next day, you know, if you're worried about anything, I think a safe area is between 170 and 180, with obviously the ultimate bottom being at this 140. But I don't mind it. Wow, AMD right now. See ya. Obviously a runes trade. See ya. And then we're going downside right now as AMD break. Break yourself, fool. AMD to the downside. Let's go. What's up, Neil?
Yeah, so Medivale, like yesterday, there was a buy out of Zacks for them. sort of overnight, and then really nothing here today except for the fact that it was on some midday movers list when it made that afternoon little push. And it's done this before. Like, keep in mind, we did have a catalyst last week for this bumping into the upside, so it looks like it's a little bit of social media chatter on top of yesterday's little add to a buy list from Zacks, but really not a lot happening right now. It did just catch a little bit of a bid, but it already put in a bit of a pump and then fade on MDVL. And this 220, 230 level has been resistance on the daily. So if it gets back to that price, should be some sellers in there, I think.
Yeah. You got it? Boom. Okay, a couple questions I wanted to answer. I'm just going through the chat. At this point, I'm just waiting for the futures to continue on moving. Rohit asking, can I post my futures positions? The only time I'm ever actually talking about my futures positions is when I'm on the show. If I'm not here, I don't have social media, so I'm not a part of the Twitters or the Instagrams that we do through the show. So I don't do that. So I don't have any social media where I kind of put my trades out there. I just trade. It's like I'm a ghost when I'm not around, right? I just happen to be under the camera, and then I take off, and you won't see me again. So that's kind of how it goes.
Every day, 9 o'clock.
Oh, every day at 9 o'clock. I'll give you guys the futures levels, but the trades themselves, not so much. So we'll do that. Bradley Taylor talking about e-signal charting. Yeah, it is cleaner. If you're willing to put up the money to get it, that's the other flip side of e-signal charting is that it is mad expensive. So it better be clean for that price. And there was another question from Steve asking a few times, did I talk about Caterpillar? Caterpillar has been a crazy mover. Somehow did not show up on my screen earlier today, up 4% on the day. And the big thing I think is going to be the daily. So although we didn't talk about Caterpillar today, keep an eye on this 225 area. That's going to be critical. As we approach that high from back in early January, which is around 230, if it can react and come back into 225 and catch a bid, they actually might take a shot at taking it out. If they take out the 230, you can easily go for the extension to the upside, because if you look at 230 going back into mid-2021, there really is nothing until 240. So depending on what the risk is, there might be a nice little trade on Caterpillar, even though it did take off to the upside in a big way today. So we did not talk about it. We did not trade it, but definitely looking real good on the daily to pay attention to into next week.
Caterpillar is like Bruno. We don't talk about Caterpillar unless someone brings it up to us. But yeah, good analysis there as AMD, man, continues its move to the downside as the NASDAQ is taking down lows right here. So this name just keeps on collapsing. I mean, I'm stepping it out now. We only have 10 minutes until that imbalance. And just so an update there, we took another 56 fill there. We're almost, we're out of 2/3 of this trade now. It sucks, but it's slow. It's a slow grind. And really what this has done for me, we'll do some backflips there, but that's not the one I was looking for. It was just this. Right now, we're just sort of adding to our day, right? I mean, it's like, let's pay for that bottle of wine and let's move on. Because honestly, Ford's been a good one. It's just, I talked about this, right? I said that, hey, into the close, you're not going to get there's going to be no reason for Ford to go back to the upside here, even if the market was screaming up. I mean, we'd have been lucky to get VWAP. So right now, I'm pretty happy with this, just sort of how it's been. We're at the highest. AMD is a buy swing. Don't tell Sean. Ooh, you're trying to sneak that in there, comp. I see you right there. Yeah, no, I like AMD. And it's like what I said about it with Danielle there. I want to buy. I want to be a buyer here. I've been raising some capital. We got out of Nucor at a high. We got out of AbbVie, which is a crazy good fill there. I may just empty out. I mean, I bought Eli Lilly at 40, and Eli Lilly right now is at 302. So we're $70 in the money on Eli Lilly right now as well on our long-term account. And this has been just, look, you can see where I bought it. I actually think it was like 38. I think it was in here somewhere. A beautiful move back up to the upside. And we have that clean, man. That's since February. So I am getting ready to raise some capital there. It did get as high as 315. I've not sold a dime of this one. And here's Nucor as well, the steel name. This was just, shout out to Austin if you're on the chat at all. We were buying it here at 95. We didn't sell anything at all until this last move, where we actually, that's not true. We did get some out here 125, and then I did get another piece out at 148. And this was my mistake. That's where I said to Danielle, I'm never going to sell again when we're taking out all-time highs, because it's taking out all-time highs for a reason. You want to sell the weakness, man. don't sell the strength. And so I did that. But anyways, doesn't matter. Raising capital. I put more money into Facebook, and now it's getting ready to go into, again, I'm guessing I will probably go to the SMH, to be honest with you. But I'm not ready to sell anything yet. So that is what that is. It's 3:42 now. Again, guys, thank you so much for everything today. Veru, let's have a quick look at that. There's some talk on that right now. Obviously, Veru's had a great week, man. I mean, to say that is an understatement. We started the week, or last week, at 450. Monday comes, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We touched $17 there. Veru's been that's not true. That wick is not true, I don't think. But yeah, so I think we touched probably 15. Let's see, though. Actually, it was this morning, wasn't it? Yeah, there it is, right? Yeah, so we did touch 17. My bad. I was in the trade right there. So here's Veru today. This is why it's not my most successful stock. It's actually a negative stock for me today, but we bought it there, sold it at those pre-market highs, and then lost. So that's a flat trade there. Then we buy the break of 17. We get some out there. This is on the halt. Remember, it halted. And then we got some out there, 17. We take some out, 17.50, 17.60. So ultimately, that's 50, 60 cents worth of a win. And then it comes back in, and we get out for that dollar hit. So negative on it. I guess we must have had some extra shares there and got out the rest at 80. But Veru right now, interesting levels, man. I think we'll have to have this on the radar for Monday. I'm going to write it down too. 1350 down here. Supported it in that break off the halt, and then supported it again just randomly here and randomly here. So 1350, good one for Veru. Man, I was just saying this, I'm exhausted here. It's been a busy week, man. And, again, not feeling under the weather, but I think there's some sort of allergies. I've taken the Claritin. That's been good for me. But, man, tonight, I got to drop the kids off. My daughter has gymnastics. My man has karate. So that's going to happen. And then they'll probably want to go to the park or ride bikes or something like that. May have a hard pass, but tomorrow's a big, busy day for us. Lots of action happening. We have a sort of an Easter fair to go to. Ooh. Apparently, hopefully the weather's nice. It involves rides. It involves various things like that. You have any plans this weekend?
Not as far as I know. I know my wife, she's got something cooking. I know that much. I don't know exactly what it is. I'll find out. But I kind of leave it until we get to the weekend because I need to focus on my trading. And then I'm told, I'm essentially not asking, I'm told, hey, we're doing this. I'm like, oh, got it. So that's what we're looking forward to. Also, I know we got something going on, maybe some dinners or something. But apart from that, we're just waiting for this. I'm just waiting for this market. I'm trying to make as much as I possibly can before this market goes into holiday mode, because you know what? It's, as a trader, you don't want to be out of the market for a day or so. But unfortunately, that's the business. We got to take our breaks, even if it's forced on us. In the meantime, we'll go to Neil.
Hey Aaron, it's me, Miss V, and Damian Stevens following up with his super chat and says as a member message, Microsoft $280 zone long term, add possible thoughts. So guys, do you have any thoughts on Microsoft, and can we take a look at levels there?
Yeah, I could take this. It's to me a huge buy at these levels. If it wasn't the end of the day, Microsoft was actually on my radar for right now to buy this. But this 280 has been fantastic. If you're looking for long term, I don't see anything broken with their business. We've talked about, obviously, the gaming. They're going to have to settle down with Activision. That they have that purchase still to go. That's going to hit. I guess that'll hit. I don't know. Is ATVI even closed yet? It's going to hit their books, not now, next quarter. So that's going to be something to watch out for sure. But that's a name that I'm looking at, always to buy. Their cloud computing is great. Their cloud services have been fantastic. Azure. So I don't see anything in the way. PCs are still pretty hot. So I don't mind their Windows franchise as well. I like Microsoft moving forward, man. Satya Nadella has been absolutely fantastic as a CEO, and I believe continues to do that. The levels here are 270. So if you can buy it for 280 right now and hold out for a little while, Damien, I like this name. Again, it held these levels. If we break 270, this is the same for a lot of these names, man. There's going to be some pressure on the market, right? So just watch out for this, try to take out some of those levels. I like it. I think for a starter position, yes. Would I go all in at a 280? No, just because I don't know what the market's going to bring. But again, any sort of a down dip in Microsoft, I think needs to be bought. But if you like value and tech, honestly, you back out the cash, and people aren't going to like this call for Meta, so I'll just whatever it. But I think Google and Meta, both right now, man, P's around 20. I like these names, and I don't think you're wrong buying any one of those. So I'm kind of in that camp right now, but that's what I'm looking for Microsoft. Great question, and I think it's a great buy right now. What's up, Neil?
You mentioned Activision there, so there was a story this morning, so it's probably good to mention it, but SOC Investment Group said, and this was this morning, Microsoft offer fails to properly value Activision Blizzard, and they're urging shareholders to vote against it. Obviously, this is one that's trading at a discount because the regulators are going to have some scrutiny for that deal. I think that's interesting that they would say that because it was a very depressed stock before that. I remember activists saying that when Yahoo was turning deals down.
Yeah. Activision, yeah. They paid what, $90 for that thing? Yeah, really undervalued. Good call on that one. If these guys, these jokers, back away from this bid from Microsoft, Activision Blizzard is going down to $40, just about as fast as you've seen before. So I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know what that means for Activision, but if we can go to a daily chart here, if it loads up, like this is where they were before the tech wreck, guys. Like this is where they were, $64. Then all of a sudden in January, everything tech related fell down. We want to look at other video game. Do you want to look at other video game makers to see what they've been doing? You want to look at Roblox to see what they've been doing since January? Anyways, I think it's a gift horse, man. Let these guys fail. Get rid of Activision then, man, and then you can pay $50 for it instead of 90, so or whatever the price is. But anyways, that's my talk on that one. Arun, only a few more minutes left until the imbalances, but that's just what I think about Activision and Blizzard versus Microsoft. I believe they paid too much, but I have faith in management that they know what they're doing. So more than I do.
Let's keep an eye on these futures because remember I am short. I actually picked up some more here on the bounce back towards 4,400. I just like the way it was moving around there. So why not add some more here? Let's pull that lower third, guys. Right there. You see it barely there. But yeah, I add some more right around that 4,400 and see if we can actually get a move that extends into 4 o'clock towards the end. Imbalance is coming out in about 10 seconds. Which direction are we going to go? It's been a down day. Are we going to get a down imbalance or are we going to do a buy side move? And we are...
Downside, probably.
Barely anything, actually.
It looks like a downside move, no?
Yeah, but it's like 95 is damn strong. Wow.
But
yeah, we were at 94, 93. Okay, now we're getting some acceleration, traction to the downside. 92, there goes 92. Here we go towards 91 and change as we make a move towards the end. You know what I'm going to do, actually? I'm going to start to bid my way out of this as we get into, come on, get there.
Let's go.
I'm trying to get to these 90s. I'm trying to bid my way out. I'm being a little bit greedy right now. I know I should probably take these 92s, but maybe I can get my 90.
You can do it.
Come on, you can do it. Can I? Yeah, there we go. There's some skills coming.
You can do it,
partials. Oh, I can't be too happy. I got partial. Let's get the rest of that. But I did get some at 91, but I didn't get everything I wanted out at 91. We'll leave the rest, and maybe we'll get a fill that comes in. Damn. 93, there it goes. Okay, so I couldn't get it all out. But, maybe second chance. Imbalances. While I'm trying to get filled at 91, there we go. It finally comes in, 91. You see that green arrow, got the rest of it exited right there. So we're still holding some, but we're going to let the rest go. And imbalances. There's
$2.5 billion to sell, someone put.
Yeah, there's unusually high amounts of, how much? 2.5 billion?
That's what someone put. I don't know. DJ Valinoga there. That's pronounced wrong, but he put that in the chat.
All right, okay. I mean, that makes sense. Market
I also hit this. Let's put the money. Not working. Right there. It was working there at the end of the day there. All right, Fahad. Right now, but yeah, let's big it up. Nice trade around. Let's go the dab up there. Fahad, you missed it. Let's go again. Right there again. As we took some advice, not some advice there, but anyways, we'll get out of IMPP. But look at this Qs trade, man. I shorted it with you right there into the imbalances. We liked it so much, we took it twice. Nice little trade for the Qs. We still are short now, 50 cents in the money on this spot. So yeah, pretty happy, joy now. Shout out to Ren and Stimpy fans as this is a big move here in the futures to end the day. And yeah, look at AMD. Adios, man. AMD just downside pressure right now. And yeah, we'll take this over and over again. Let's just keep on going downside. This is exactly what we're talking about. We got the Qs in the money. We got Ford out. Unfortunately, guys, we took that Ford out right there for where we got it. 52s, we got 51s out. Whatever on Ford. It's still positive stock. So we go thumbs up for you, Ford. But right now, not doing much on that play. So we got to watch out for it. The Qs continues to make a move to the downside. We've just been getting it out here. So nice little short there, 339. The Qs is the NASDAQ 100. So if you're wondering what that is, it's just an ETF there. Same as the futures. So basically, same thing as like what Arun was trading there, but not actual contracts. For myself, we've talked about this. I prefer to trade the equity, so you can see it on there with a level 2 and everything like that. I can properly assess risk. Blah, 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 with that one. Arun trading the futures. And I don't think we could both be happier with the way that day ended right there.
Yeah.
AMD, just tank city. Look at my trades here on AMD, short, short, short. Like, these are short all day. So to say today was a good day, even Ice Cube would have to admit that, because this has been a monster move to the downside. It's been one of my best days all week. We don't really have any negative names today, although Veru we were negative on, and we will be negative on Simp Imp right here as well, as that goes to the downside. So negative on that name, but other than that, man, so far so good. Pretty happy with this day for sure. And we only have 7 minutes to go. Thanks to Daniel Shea for coming on today as well. It's glad to have Ms. V back. Hopefully Trader Pratt will be back in his seat on Monday as well.
All right, we got another exit out. Typically, I show you guys the 5-minute chart. Because I'm getting him out fairly quickly as this market now is working with 90. Remember, 90's been a problem in the past, so that's why I'm working my exits here. The reason being, I'm working so many exits here that I got to go to the 1 minute to show you guys, because they're overlapping each other on the 5 minutes. So we've got a couple out in front of evens. Grab some more around the 4,400 on the even on the flip side. So before 4,400 broke, and then as soon as it broke, well, not as soon as, but it broke down, came back up, took the short again. Now dumping some in front of 90 even. I got 91s a couple times. We got partials on the way down. Got some more out. I've still got some more left. In about 30 seconds, we're going to get these imbalance updates from the floor here. So we'll see what this brings to the table. Somebody said 2 billion or 2.5 billion to the short side. Okay, that's at 350. What does that change to now at 355? Because you know the floor interest is going to show up. If that number, if more selling is added to that 2 billion or 2.5 billion going into 355 or after 355, it's going to sell off. If that number gets smaller, which it looks like it got smaller, it flipped to a buy, it looks like. Maybe not a buy, but it definitely got reversed in some fashion, because this market bounced from 90 all the way to 95, now coming back into 92. Okay, back to these imbalances. Why does that matter? Everything's gone. Everything's gone except for Nielsen, which has been there for like, what, every other day? And Altria, MO, is there for a million shares to the sell side, as the futures now, after snapping up to 94, is now breaking back towards 90 even. So looks like it's going to be unusually quiet, but we got a ton of activity from the futures market, even though options might be bringing a little bit of quiet numbers through the imbalances. Futures activity is hot right now, as the market decided that it doesn't want to go up to 94, 95, wants to come right back down and now working the bottoms as well. So here we are, 43.90, 43.89 half is the low. Let's see if we get an accelerated move into 4 o'clock, because, you know, hey, it's a long weekend. Let's see what we got on the downside, if there is any downside left.
See, this is really why I do this. Well, first of all, I mean, I trade for myself. But here we go. Blind Jedi, what's up, man? Yeah, whoa, Sean, I took that AMD short with you, man. Made my day. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for watching the show. And thank you to Dr. Strange. Thank you again to Damien again. Thank you to everybody on here that's just really had nice words for all of us today. And we're the Trader TV Live team. And I think we, you know, when you combined all 4 of us, I mean, including Brendan, I guess 5 of us, including Pratt, and then now newly found Tony. You know, when you combine all of us in there, I mean, it's going to be, you know, I don't know. I always throw smoke out here, but like, I don't think you're going to find a better station. I don't think you're going to find better traders overall than what you have right here. So honestly, it's been a big week for me, and I really appreciate that people are taking your futures trades. They're asking where they can find those. They're talking about trades with us, man. We've had some really good trades today. My Facebooks were great. I mean, we had great trading on Facebook today as well. Everything's tanked down, but Facebook's been good. Ford was good again. Citigroup was hot. I mean, unfortunately, this 51 short worked great, and then we had to get out when it took out VWAP, so that was kind of a suckier trade for me today as well. And then Twitter, yeah, this is actually my negative stock on a day where really I thought I traded it okay. We just had some share size issues earlier on because it just kept coming down. So some of these trades, like right into here when it didn't work at 48 and then started to dump down, we wound up getting out there at 47.80 or whatever it was. That was really the big hit. And then shorting again into here, that was okay, and then that long. So actually Twitter's not that bad, but it is my worst stock. Look at AMD though, man. I mean, can you even believe this? I mean, I know you're still in the short, so I know you can believe it, but wow, just absolutely collapsing down today. Like, and it's funny because all of these reloads, like at 95 and things like that, then another reload at 94, it's like really took a lot to do that because, we were getting close to getting stopped out on some of those trades, but it just goes to show you got to stick with what you do best. And honestly, today, that's exactly what I did. And you're getting paid off here into the close. So, thank you so much again for watching. My voice is like completely done right now. It's been a rough week. I give big thanks to Arun for stepping in, and we'll see you again hopefully in the near future. Definitely on Monday to do a futures review.
Yeah.
And then, back to the usual suspects here with Brendan, myself, Neil, and hopefully Trader Prad get well soon. We'll see him very, very soon as well. So, I'm going to just get out of everything. The triple Qs is completely fallen out, man.
Yeah.
We're at the day's low, so this is a good one for me. Let's just get out here if we can. We'll put a 27 bid.
Final minute left.
Hopefully it
now.
runs us over. Yeah, only 1 minute left. There's our 27 bid. We get that. The volume on this is ridiculous, 70 million shares. And then AMD, let's just take a 93 bid, man. It's been a great day with only a minute left. I don't know. Maybe I'll put a little bit of a lower bid in case we get that flush action like we did in Facebook yesterday. So low bid on AMD. I honestly have 10% left of this position, so I'm okay holding this just slightly past 4 if we have to.
Yeah, I'm doing the exact same thing. Remember, I've still got some left on the futures, even though I got some out at a 90. I'm going to be a little greedy with this one. 30 seconds left before equity close. Let's see if we can move another 6 to 7 points towards 80 even. That's where I'm going to wait around. Let's see if I can't get it. I'll take whatever I can get after we get to that point. But I want to see what we got in the final few seconds because this is when a majority of the volume you see program activity just flushing one direction. As I say that, with about 10 seconds left now
there it is,
on the
board.
countdown, Valeria and Tony ready to go to close us out.
Let's go. We have 3, 2, 1. Tony, host extraordinaire and bell ringer extraordinaire as well. For everybody saying Tony was such a great hire, I have some unfortunate news for you. I mean, he's not part of the Trader TV Live team.
No.
Yet. And he has lots of work to do here. But thank you to Tony for filling in this week. It's been an absolutely monster week for all of us here. The trading just speaks for itself into today. So, Neil, where did we wind up in this market, although I'm afraid to ask?
Well, not up, unfortunately. It couldn't be a perfect week. The NASDAQ did finish down 2.3%. You guys saw with the shorts that you guys had on at the end of the day. The Dow even turned red. So Nike and Caterpillar were not enough to lift the entire market. Crude oil finished up, so I guess there is that. But you can't have them all. We had a rally yesterday. But this negative week ends on a bit of a negative tone. But hey, we got a long weekend, Easter. Should have lots of fun.
Yeah, lots of fun happening here, and hopefully the market does rebound. Remember, I think we didn't talk about this at all today, but unfortunately, in Russia, Ukraine, as that story continues to build itself out, hopefully we get some resolve over the weekend. And if you do, then you'll see this market, trust me, rally like crazy to the high side if we get anything out of that for this week. I was going to say shout out to Trader Prad because normally I look over there and he's sitting there, but not today. So empty seat. But Tony, thank you so much for filling out today. Lucas, Fahad, obviously great job. And I love that Fahad's a good sport, man. We go back and forth all the time. Thank you for that, man. That's been a good one. Thank you to Danielle Shea, which, big guest today. Thank you to Frank, again, from the Small Exchange, sponsoring some of those takes today from the futures. That's been a good one for us. And then again, Ms. V's back. That's great for us as well. Thanks to all the traders behind us, obviously making just a better environment. Hopefully, although now they're all gone. Like, what happens? The bell rings and they're gone. And again, Neil, man, great job this week filling in, and last week filling in for Brendan. So, you know, this is what we're doing, man. Multi-talented here. Not me. I'm just single talent, or if any, at all. But I'm going to just say a big thank you to everybody. We're going to say, hopefully, Brendan, not hopefully. I mean, he's on vacation. He's going to come back here on Monday. Hopefully, he returns from his paradise there at a cottage. So really happy to have everybody back. It's going to be a big weekend, obviously. We've talked about all of our plans. Do you have any plans, Ms. V?
Sleeping.
No, I guess chill out with the dog. Yeah, sleeping, I heard that. And yeah, I heard that your dog's getting big now. How many pounds? Have you weighed him?
I believe 1 kilogram, 500 grams.
1.5 kilograms.
Yeah.
What, 3
Oh,
point?
1.5?
Yeah.
That's 2.2. So 4 pounds your dog is? Oh, man. Okay. Yeah, get some meat on those bones, but
For me,
just a little teacup, right? So anyways, guys, thank you for watching the Trade of the Day's AMD. Follow us all on Twitter except for Arun, and we will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend, guys.